There's a go live button. Okay. Okay. I can press from here. Okay, going live. And we're live. Hello everybody, Julian from JulianTechTM, and today I have a special guest. I never prepped the supers for the video, but I prepped a whiteboard. We have Marcus Wee, founder of Aftershock. Try to get it without the reflection. Yes. Yeah, so today I got Marcus here today to I don't know. We did a lot of live stream for your site.
Yeah,
but that was for TikTok, but that was more of like a for your site, right? So I was thinking why don't I do it on my site, then we can really talk about tech and have it online, because I think TikTok once you're live and then
TikTok was very impromptu for us,
yeah.
and also because there's a strong focus on what's being sold on the TikTok store. So having a podcast just to talk about tech, would be great.
So you have done Aftershock for like what 10 years, right? 10 years already. So we will talk about how you get Aftershock later on, but we will talk about some latest tech news.
Sure.
And the first thing that we want to talk about is the RTX 4090.
Yep.
Firstly, we talk about the pricing and the performance. Like what do you think about it?
Well, it's a very powerful card. It's like one of the biggest generational leaps we have seen in quite a number of years.
Yeah.
And we've been on the 30 series for quite a while, so it's refreshing to have something new come out. But at the same time, given the price point, it's quite expensive.
Yeah.
With cards ranging anywhere between $2,600, $2,700 all the way to above $3,000. So it's not a card for everyone. Performance is absolutely insane, but also because of the way games are actually they're not getting more demanding as quickly as they were before.
Yeah.
It's basically a super high-end card, like almost like a showcase of what Nvidia can do, that may not be for everybody, may not be necessary for the everyman buyer.
Correct. Yep. Because the thing is, even though you said that it's about 2.6 to 2.8
some versions are 3K plus.
Right. The one that I found was Zotac is $2,788, and a good card now is the RTX 3090 Ti.
Yep.
It's about 1.6. You can say that
1.5, 1.6 in that range, depending on where you get.
So even though the RTX 4090 is like crazy expensive, looking at the performance, I think it's justifiable. Do you think it's justifiable for that price?
The thing is that the prices that you're seeing on the street
are
not necessarily the most accurate prices, because an RTX 3090, like for example, even the price that we're offering for them, is even cheaper than what you're seeing.
Correct.
But what I would say is that given the price performance jump, yes, I mean it scales accordingly. But the one of the things about the past, which was nice, was that sometimes you could have a new generation. In many years ago, sometimes you have a new generation launch where they'll have a new generation part that offered a 30-40% jump in performance, but it would be slated very closely to the last generation part of the same tier. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
But the thing that has changed now, especially now with inflation like being absolutely insane, is that we're just seeing prices like with a new generation product, there will be a lot of price adjustments, and we're seeing that across the board, not just in graphics cards.
It's true. Like not just tech, like everything.
Yeah.
Right. Basically everything.
Everything, yeah.
Okay. So what do you think of the whole melting 4090 cable, adapter cable problem?
I mean, at first we were quite worried when we saw the news popped up, but so far at least we are very strict with how we install these cards.
Yeah.
And the whole thing comes about it's primarily, I wouldn't say primarily, but a large part of it is because of if you don't install it properly, or if you basically bend the cables too much or whatnot, it causes a collection of heat.
But don't you think it's actually like the manufacturing fault a little bit? Because you shouldn't be bending the cable so much. Anyway, just for context, the reason for the whole cable melting is because the connector can be a bit loose, especially when you wiggle it a lot, and then that's where it gets a bit hot, and then that's where it melts. So do you think it's actually like the manufacturing problem?
I think that manufacturers have to consider that these cards will be sold as standalone, and there will be DIY customers who will assemble it themselves. So there needs to be some sort of like higher threshold, a higher threshold for like mistakes, So like you can't, like a user inserts the cable a little bit wrong and then they get punished for it. Like it's not ideal, not ideal. But of course, it's something I'm sure they'll fix very quickly.
So if can you say how many like 4090 builds you have done or sold already?
We have I can roughly say we've done about 130 of them. So far we
none, right?
Zero.
Okay, but what happened if, let's say, tomorrow someone called in and
then first of all,
what were your?
There'll be quite a number of steps, right?
Yeah.
We would like any other sort of product failure in the past. We have to just cover it in warranty. Or the reason why anyone chooses a company like us to begin with is because they want a company to deal with the warranty.
The support lah.
Yeah, and we just basically we have to take care of it. We're supposed to make it our problem. But essentially what we need to do is we need to replace whatever needs to be replaced to get the machine up and running, ensure minimum downtime.
Right.
But yeah, a lot of things will go on behind that. Like we'll have to find out basically, who the person who built that particular system, which we do record.
Yeah.
We have to find out that, what kind of procedure they followed. Try to get down to the bottom of it lah.
So like let's say a customer calls, right? Would they need to come down and bring the PC, or are you gonna deliver?
No, if it's a 4090, it will be a new PC. And all new PCs have a 1-year pickup and return.
Right. Nice. So how long do you think that service will be? Like, let's say, because to me,
will take, is it?
Yeah, like to me, if I have to give and then
it will be very quick for new PCs.
So like 1 day, 2 days.
Yeah, in that 1 to 3 days in that range. But typically for PCs that are brand new, we pay very special attention because if we're having a new PC, there shouldn't be issues.
Because because is it like your standby, like your get ready, because you're not sure how is it gonna be.
You mean for the milking issue? Well, I mean, we informed the team, but so far nothing popped up. So we definitely, when something comes up like this, like for example, there was a H1 in the past, we put team members on standby, just ready to catch.
Nice.
But so far, nothing popped up on this.
Right. Anyway, thank you so much for joining. Yeah, we see your comments. We will read your comments, and we have a bit of Q&A later. But thank you, Min for coming, for Alan Bot, Alex, and Sweet Boy. Yes, thank you for joining. Okay, so anything you want to add with the whole
cable melting fiasco?
Yeah.
I mean, for now, I think so far, because of the installation procedures that are being followed, we haven't seen anything pop up there.
Right.
So we're not really too concerned, but though we're hoping that eventually, obviously, a hard fix will be applied to the situation.
So I would say anyone buying the 4000 series with the adapter, just be careful with your cable.
Just be mindful of how you install it.
If it's melting, definitely take it out and just go to the website support warranty, and then you probably can just get it replaced.
I mean, really, most distributors and stuff, they will cover it properly.
Do you think when are the PSU going to be widely available for that 12-pin?
Well, I wouldn't say it's so quick. Like there were actually a few models available, and they were just zipped up like instantly. Like everything was, all the stock was completely.
Because like I've done the 4090 build, right? It's very ugly to see 4 cables.
I wouldn't disagree. There's like some weaknesses to that,
Yeah, it's like and they want you to like the GPU will recommend you to use individual cables instead of the 2x8 pin, and I'm like, wow. It's a lot of cables.
It's very unsightly if you're trying to create like a very themed build, like a full white build, for example. But I think they'll take some time. 4090 is still a card that's right at the very top end.
Right.
So PSU manufacturers probably don't see it as a big volume runner. So I think we will see these PSU slowly phase in. But it'll become a very popular headline feature for next gen.
Then I have a question. Do you think the 4060 is like the AIBs are gonna be 12 pin, or do you think they still have the 8 pins?
Oh, it's hard to say.
Yeah,
it really depends. Like if like there will be a lot of things that brands will consider. Like when there's new products, for example, I'll give you one perfect example. When DDR5 is launched, like they have a lot of the brands like because they had DDR5 and DDR4 on Intel boards together at the same time. So a lot of the brands were not sure, which board do I produce more?
Right.
But the reality is that in certain markets, like usually Western markets, higher end components like DDR5 are very popular.
Right.
Or they'll be more popular.
Because they like the cutting edge, the latest.
They like to go for cutting edge. Also the spending power tends to be higher.
Right.
Whereas in Asian markets or markets where the focus is bang for buck, very much so you'll see like popularity with DDR4. So I think it's a very similar situation.
Yeah, because I got a feeling AIBs did 12 pin because 12 pin is the only thing that can deliver that kind of power.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
But the 4060 is gonna be, I think, 200 watts, which is.
I think it's. I mean, I'm looking forward to see the 4060. But it's a bit far away.
Yes. And I got a feeling it's still gonna be 8-pin. Because especially with this whole mounting cable, right, people are gonna avoid this 12-pin for now until the 12-pin PSU are widely available. Correct. Then they will go there. So yeah, I think that's a thing. Let me see. Drift Shadow, having dinner while watching y'all. Thank you very much for joining. Watching this podcast while waiting for bus. Oh. Okay.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thanks for joining.
We'll be taking more personal questions later.
Yeah. We have a few questions on Instagram that we took, and on YouTube, and anonymous ones as well.
Yeah, sure.
So that'll be fun. Okay, we go to the next topic, which is.
Let's see what it is.
No, I think we can go like the whole AM. Okay, so with the whole RTX 4090.
I think we can talk about the whole architecture, right? Like the whole lineup.
Yeah.
So I think a good way to start this would be RTX 4090.
Yes.
Are the top end 30 series cards still relevant? I think that's a good topic that everyone's asking us.
Yeah.
So the answer is very straightforward, right? We roughly know the price of what the RTX 4080 16GB is going to land at. 4080 12GB already got cancelled.
Yeah.
As in, we think it will be released or something else.
Like 4070 basically, or 4070 Ti or something like that.
We'll see what Nvidia wants to call it. But the gist is what we think, our opinion, given the price both being really high for 4090 and 4080, we think that at the right price points, 3080 and 3090 Ti cards are still very attractive. Because in the end, most people, at least in Singapore, in Australia, two markets that we're in, most people game at 1440p.
Yeah, that's the thing. Even if you have the money and you want extra performance, but you are gaming at 1440p, I don't think the 4090 is good because
it's overkill.
I don't know. Actually, I look at some benchmark, right? You get very little performance gain at the lower resolution. Maybe like 20-30%.
Because it's got CPU bottleneck.
Yeah. Whereas if you game at 4K, then yes, the 4090 will be at that 80%, 120% improvement.
Especially if you love titles like Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Ooh, the extra power can really kick in.
The Cyberpunk with 4K is next level. I've never experienced that. I can imagine you play it on 8K with the settings lower. I think it will look fantastic. I want to do a video like that. So we actually did this. We actually should have done this live stream or podcast next week because the new AMD GPU is going to launch, or they're going to announce it, right?
Actually, that would have been the perfect time to discuss it.
Yeah. But it's okay. We can do it. I'm not sure how this podcast is going to go. Maybe we can continue this a Monday thing. If you want to join, we'll see. So the next thing I want to ask, since all the CPU have somewhat launched, AMD versus Intel CPUs.
So, the CPU game is always a game of cat and mouse.
Yes.
One brand does something, the other reacts.
Yeah.
So right now, we had AMD launch a 7000 series first.
Yes.
It was a good launch. Though the motherboard together with the CPU was quite expensive because the motherboard prices were quite a bit higher than the motherboards for the 5000 series. And basically after that, Intel responded with the 13th generation.
Yeah.
So what it's looking like at the current moment is that the 13th generation chips are really very attractive, not just because the chips are performing well, but also because they're backwards compatible with 600 series motherboards. Though you're going to have to make sure you get a motherboard with a good VRMs on it.
What happens if you don't get one with...
Essentially, you might get throttling. It'll be just high heat.
Right.
Like in general, you just want to make sure you're pairing the right motherboard with the right CPU.
Correct.
But the gist is because they're backwards compatible with 600 series motherboard and also compatible with DDR4 memory, which means that
it's safe.
Yeah, which means that essentially for users on the budget who want to get a really good balance between the graphics card they buy and the CPU they buy, it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah.
And right now at the high end, Intel's looking very attractive. As for AMD 7000 series chips are also a decent second option if you want it. But AMD is especially popular with the 5000 series still. The 5600X, 5500 are extremely popular chips.
Okay. Let's go with AMD versus Intel in the different range. Okay, so we go high end first. Who do you think is the more desirable CPU
So
at high end.
from a gaming perspective, at a very, very top end,
Yeah.
the 3900 KF is slightly cheaper than the 7950X.
But is it because of the motherboard or you're
the
just
chip
looking,
itself is cheaper.
Okay.
And then on top of that, the motherboard itself is also likely cheaper at the current moment. I think that's going to change shortly. I'm sure there will be some response on the market.
Okay.
But it looks like it's at the moment at a lower price.
Okay. Will you, for that high range, right, will you get DDR4 version or will you just go
if I'm building a
high-end,
i9 CPU,
right.
I'll go for
DDR5,
DDR5
okay.
all the way.
So I would say high range. I think if it depends on what game you want to play as well, because some games are better on the AMD CPU, some games are better on the Intel.
Correct. But to be very frank, that's true. But the difference is not absolutely humongous.
It's true.
Like if you look at all the video, like the big reviews and shootouts they do these days, they always have to fine tune the settings where you can see the impact of the CPU makes.
Yeah.
So they'll either make it really low resolution or something. Basically, they're trying to squeeze out ways to show you the difference in the CPU.
Right.
So it's not a big a factor as if you were to put the same money into a bigger GPU.
Right. Okay. How about the mid range?
So mid-range,
the 13600K, the 13700, the 76. No, we say 7600 is a mid range because it's supposed to be low range.
I would say it's a direct competitor for 13600 KF.
Right.
So I would say I'll call it mid-high, especially in the Singapore market. I'll call it mid-high. And I think right now in the mid-high segment, 13600 KF is in a very strong position, much stronger than the i9 is.
Yeah.
And the reason is super straightforward. The chip prices are close.
Yeah.
But the motherboard prices are very far apart. So 3600 KF is like it's like a very good gamer's choice CPU.
Yeah, because we were gonna work with Paul Foster, right? And then we are seeing what build is. It's appealing. It's good for a video, and I think the 13600 KF with a 600 series motherboard,
good quality B660 board. You have
with a DDR4 looks very appealing.
Correct.
Yeah,
I think that's the build a lot of people will go for, especially if you're creating a build now on like a discounted 3080 or 3090 Ti card.
Right.
Pairing it with DDR4 and a B660 is really quite an attractive option.
So it's like Intel Win 2 already.
But AMD is very strong on the bottom end.
Yeah. But then we go on to the entry, the budget builds.
So 5600X versus 12400F. That's a bit like a big battle for a long time. So we've seen price shifts in this segment, with essentially the 5600X being available at a better price point, and the 12400F unfortunately moving up in price a little bit. And because the 5600X is able to use a B550 board versus Intel having to use a B660, the B550 board is a cheaper board.
Yeah.
In general, the chipset. What we find is that builds with 5600X, which perform in gaming relatively similar to a 12400F, will generally be cheaper.
Yeah. I would say it's like $150 cheaper.
Not that big. I think it's shrunk a little bit. The B660...
No, but with the motherboard and everything.
Yeah, even with B660 boards, we have seen the prices drop a little bit. Maybe that's because there's been a decline in demand, and a lot of the brands just want to move parts.
So it's very interesting to see that you didn't pick any. I actually won't pick the 7000 series also, because the 7000 series, if we really compare them side by side, but I think the thing is one thing that I would say that AMD 7000 series is good for is the efficiency.
But yeah, I agree. But just one thing to be clear, I do think the 7900X and 7950X chips are very good chips, and we're already seeing AMD come up with programs in other countries. Like for example, we saw one program in the US where they were giving DDR5 memory together with people that bought a 7000 series chip.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that the discussion we have here is just off information that is currently available to us in the market at the SRP prices.
Yes.
However, with marketing programs that AMD support as well as price slashes, we think that the 7000 series, especially with the boards at the right price point, is very competitive with the 13th generation. Price right.
I think that when a lot of people ask me, like Intel or AMD, I will tell them, you check the price. Yeah, just press record. Okay, sorry about that. The mic was down. Sorry. Okay, we will read your comments soon enough. Thank you for joining. We were at where did we cut off?
We're talking about comparing Intel and AMD.
Yeah.
So basically, comparing Intel and the AMD chips, which one to go for, you shouldn't. It's always dependent on prices.
Yes.
So it's just like the graphics cards in the last generation, where you have a lot of reviews saying this card is good or this card is bad. But the reality is that the reviewer can only review the card based on the price in that point of time, MSRP or street price in that point of time. But by the time you are making that decision to buy the chip or the card, the price may have moved a lot. If tomorrow the AMD chip is $200 down, right? With combined with a motherboard,
you get that.
Then we'll be recommending that. It really depends on the price.
Correct. So I would say the one thing, I think the only thing to look out for a review, right, is there any bugs? Is like this sometimes, like during the 5000 series for the AMD GPU had a lot of bugs. I mean, and I think for me, that really like tarnish the branding for their GPUs, and then people rather have Nvidia because it's just, I think a lot of people just want to plug, play. They don't want any like to update this, update that, update this and that. And I think AMD have that problem at the past, where even in their like their CPUs, you need to update your BIOS, which you should be updating your BIOS, but Intel works a lot easier out of the box than AMD.
I mean, looking at this from a CPU, like we are system integrator.
Right.
Looking from a system integrator's point of view, we never thought much of it.
Because y'all will update.
We all. Our job is to make sure that the system arrives and it's completely ready to go. Though, obviously, if brands launch products and there are any hiccups, it can be painful if they're not immediately identified. Yeah, this one I agree. But I think at least with 6000 series, AMD 5000 CPU, we've not seen much issues at all.
Nice.
In fact, for us, in Singapore market, especially the mid range, the 5600X is a dominating form in terms of popularity.
Right. Yeah, I would. The thing about popularity in hardware is people go for the best value.
Yeah.
When it's readily available, like even now, if you go onto Steam survey, the top GPU is the 1060.
That was a GPU that did it all back then.
Yeah, it's like that GPU. I mean, at that time, the percentage was a lot bigger. But even now, after what? How many years? 5 years? 6 years? It's still number one on the Steam survey, the hardware survey.
It was a sweet spot. The thing about this is that it would still do decent for Full HD gaming right now today.
Yeah,
so
correct.
People on the Full HD screen wouldn't feel any impulse to change.
Yeah. I think the 3060 might be that in the next 5 years.
I believe it'll be very similar.
Yeah.
But 3060 and 3060 Ti, depending on the pricing, it's come a lot closer recently. 3060 Ti is a sweet spot card.
Yeah. Like 3060 Ti, you can play some games at 1440p.
I think the best way to describe it is 3060 is the card that will run almost all current games at 1080p ultra settings.
Yeah.
But there's a little bit of uncertainty if the next generation games come. Maybe you need to turn it down a notch to high.
Right.
3060 Ti is a bit overkill for Full HD.
Yeah.
But it is able to handle 1440p decently. So it's like people have the mindset that if I buy a 3060 Ti, I can run all games currently 1080p ultra. Maybe a few next generation games come out, I can still run it.
Yeah.
Because it has a little bit more than what you need for 1080p. Yeah.
Okay, so Pew You Die asks, this one I had never really researched, but what do you think of the Apple ARM-based CPU, the M1?
I think it is going to have a massive influence on the future of computing.
Oh yeah?
Like basically, chips that do it all, a very small form factor PC, are going to impact the way we look at PCs in the future. I think it's just like a shift, and we probably won't see the result till 5, 7, 6
years. Do you think that's why Intel went into GPUs, so they want to integrate everything into one?
Well, it's hard to tell why Intel did it, but I mean, I'll be frank, during the COVID period, the GPU market must have looked very lucrative, right? Like the crazy demand, it must have looked great.
Right.
But so there could be a multitude of reasons. But what I think is that for a company like Intel, just my opinion, like just having the domain knowledge is very useful, because eventually, if you want a chip that does both,
right,
it's just like with the GPUs, right? You're going to need to have the driver expertise to make sure that the compatibility is good with all the different games, all the different applications. And it's definitely an aspect of the business that's very important,
right?
To brush up on, basically, regardless.
Yeah. So you think, because the thing is, Apple always lead in the phone market, right? Like they take out their aux cable or their aux port, then everyone took it out.
Trendsetter.
Yeah, the trendsetter. So do you think they will do that in the laptop scene or the
It's hard to say, because I think for the PC scene,
yeah,
it's a bit of a different consumer than
yes, definitely.
However, I think it will definitely influence the direction to some extent. Like they made a video on Linus about how, the future would change for the custom PC scene, and very much of it, I believe they were looking at the M1. I think they're very spot on with that.
Nice. Okay, there's this question by Spencer Eno. Will manufacturer ever make more 1060 or RX 480s? I think no.
1060 or nah.
No, right? Yeah, because they that like Nvidia
production stopped.
Want to push their ray tracing.
In fact, for some of the high-end 30 series cards, some of them, select models, production is stopped as well.
Yeah. So I didn't add this in, but AI. I want to talk to you about AI. Because AI with Nvidia and their whole, DLSS, very strong. Like, what do you think of the whole AI in GPUs?
Well, it's essentially Nvidia is focusing, in my opinion, is focusing very much on building an advantage in terms of the software realm.
Right.
Basically, the software that comes complementary with their GPUs, and obviously this is a very good move from them. Yeah. Because the results, nobody can deny, the value that DLSS, as well as even ray tracing, brings to the table, and as well as not just that, don't even talk about AI, right? The entire software suite that comes with an Nvidia card. So obviously, I think it's a big deal, and it's going to influence the future of graphics cards very much. And as the technology continues to be optimized, but I think the biggest way it impacts the market is Nvidia essentially creates a very hard to breach advantage for their products. Yeah.
Yeah, I think AI is definitely a future of tech.
Yep.
But we will talk about that later. We will still get into the GPU topic.
Yep.
So the next topic I want to talk about it's a quite old news. The whole EVGA coming out of the GPU market. That's the one reason why I got Marcus to come on the podcast, because he has a lot of inside knowledge. So I'm not sure what you can share.
There's basically some things that it's not really my place to say.
Yeah. That's why But what do you think you can tell the viewers, or what do you think about this whole Nvidia?
Okay, I can tell you what I think about it.
Yeah.
Not really what you guys should think about it. But what I think about it is that during COVID, there was a huge shortage of graphics cards.
Correct.
I think for a lot of the brands, every brand went about it differently. Some brands increased the prices. Some brands attached huge bundles of products to the GPU. So to access a GPU, you needed to buy a whole bunch of other things. There are many different ways in which brands handle it. I had given our unique position, we had the opportunity to speak to people that work with Nvidia, people that work with EVGA, and even suppliers or other vendors around the world who had worked with these brands, or even distributors, right? So we talked to people from all walks of life, whether it's the consumer or whether it's the supplier or even partners. And the gist of it is that we heard very mixed stories. We felt that a lot of the story online was one group of people, one segment of the people, whereas there were other people who had
different perspective,
working experience, and had different perspectives, which really made me think, wow, everything is not always as cut and dry as it looks
online, right? Especially online. Like for me, when I see any controversy, no matter whether it's tech or online or drama, Singapore drama, the whole thing, there's always two sides to the story. And unfortunately, Nvidia was smart to get the YouTubers in.
Which one? You mean EVGA?
Yeah.
They handled it. I believe they handled it well. They handled their decision well. I guess it was well thought out. I think some of the grievances. It looks legit lah. But it's just that we had a chance to hear from multiple parties, and that's why I have mixed feelings about it.
I don't really have any big opinion about it, because is EVGA very big in Singapore?
Yeah, first to be clear, we don't actually know the EVGA guys. Never met them. So we're just like you. We're a third party observer who's watching it and developing opinion.
Yeah.
I think EVGA is huge in the US.
Yeah, exactly.
In Singapore, because for the last it's been 3 years of like lockdowns and shortage, right? So in Singapore, the brands that are big are basically the brands that had allocated supply to Singapore. Essentially, brands were forced to choose, where do I put my supply? Do I put it in the US? Which market is important to me? And there were some brands that prioritize Singapore. There's some brands that prioritize other countries. I wouldn't know the exact numbers, but we weren't able to get stock of some of the brands during that period.
So the story that I know from this whole saga is that Nvidia wants to be the distributor of their own GPU. The founder.
I don't believe so. They have the founders in some countries, and it looks to be quite limited in volume. I mean, I'm not sure of their reasons for having founder card or they're selling it in some sense in competition with the brands. But it doesn't look to me like they're trying to do that at all. Given you can't even get it here. The founder card is a very pretty card. If we could sell it, we want to. But we can't get it here. And in Singapore, it's not the only place you can't get it. And if you look at it in some of the countries like where they have it, it's always out of stock as well. So I believe, and from what I knew, like for example, this 4090 launch, for what I knew, the card was out of stock worldwide. For everyone, like for almost every brand that was selling it, it was out of stock. So yeah, I don't think it's, like I said, I don't think it's that cut and dry. I think there's more to it that we don't know.
Yeah, understand. If y'all are wondering, right? So usually these AIBs, Nvidia give them the chip, and then they can make their own version of the graphic card. So let's say RTX 4090. The thing that is going to differ from different brands is definitely the cooling and VRAMs, that they use. So the higher end, they will use a lot better parts. That's why they are a lot more expensive.
There's many things that contribute to high-end card.
Giving the chips to AIBs will kind of lighten off their load because you have to do things like marketing, manufacturing. It's actually marketing. I think distribution.
It's also a partnership and basically a business model that has existed for a long time. And I also believe there should be some degree of relationship and friendship involved in that. Some of these brands have been working with them for so many years.
Okay. Do you have Okay, so we go to the next topic. A bit less tech now. Okay, about starting a business in Singapore.
So what I think of it?
So it's interesting because I start this whole YouTube channel as a business, but it's in the media sense. And you started Aftershock for 10 years ago, right? Like, how was it starting a business?
I think it depends on your experience level and everything, but I do think that Singapore is one of the best places in the world to start a business, especially if you have a unique idea or you have a concept you want to test. And the main reason is because Singapore is a place where there's less unpredictable factors. So if you were to do a business anywhere else in Southeast Asia, which we've tried expanding to, and it can be very challenging. The rules are not clear. Some basically people in the industry might have competitive advantages that you can't understand. You may be shipping something into one of the countries in Southeast Asia, and customs may just hold your goods and just charge you a random tax. Like that's happened to us before.
Wow.
I don't want to mention what country or what, but like stuff like that happens in a lot of places. And basically Singapore is quite an even playing ground where you get to start a business in I would say it's a compact market where you can test a lot of your ideas. But the downside of course is that when you want to scale up, you'll quickly hit the ceiling in terms of the market size. Whereas if you're in another country, that may be absolutely gigantic.
Right.
But also different kind of businesses, right? Like starting a business like what we did, and you guys doing a content creation, like a channel, which is a business where you work with sponsors, you work with brands and whatnot. It's a very different kettle of fish. Like, in fact, I would say depending on the business. Like I actually think your job as a content creator, like starting a channel, is harder in Singapore. It's harder in Singapore. It's actually extra difficult. Basically because because the audience size might be like to your localized content you might quickly find that if you want to grow it further, you need to find ways to attract like viewers from all around the world.
Right.
And I think it really depends on the business. But Singapore is a great place to start a business. A lot of great businesses come out of Singapore.
You studied? Do you study in business?
No,
in uni.
I was in information systems.
So all this you learn. In the job, right?
Yeah. So the challenging part was learning how to do things along the way.
Yeah. So that's the thing that I have been learning and still learning doing this channel, because there's a lot of admin work that is like not very intuitive. You have to like really read up about it, ask people, and
like you basically do a business because you love something.
Yes.
But you end up, ironically, usually end up having less time to spend on the things you love because you're doing a business. Because there's so much associated admin work in the background and things that you may prefer less to do.
Was there any struggles starting the business?
Huge.
So can you share some of this?
Yeah. So the first year, we were very limited on funds. We basically didn't have the funds at the very beginning.
The first years, you all do laptops first.
We did laptops. Started as a laptop company.
No PC building.
PCs yet. Yeah. At the very beginning. So we basically we didn't even have the funds to hit the MOQ required. MOQ is minimum order quantity.
Yeah.
Basically, if you want to buy something from a factory,
that's cheaper, right?
Not say cheap. You need to buy a certain amount before they open their doors to you.
Right.
So we didn't even have enough to meet the initial MOQ for the laptops. So what we did was I flew to Computex with a business proposal. We showed up uninvited at the booth, the factory's booth, and basically did our business proposal.
Computex is at Taiwan, right?
Taiwan. Yeah, it's like a big trade show where every factory, all the big factories and brands go to show their wares. Yeah, so basically we showed up, we presented, and they liked the presentation, they liked us, and they said, hey, we'll try to work with you, we'll compromise, and we try to meet in the middle.
Wow. Yeah. So wait, how confident were you? Because you had to to spend money, go there,
I think I wasn't thinking too much at the time.
Right.
I was like, I think we can do it.
Right.
Kind of thing. And also because I had very good, I still think I do have very good knowledge of the products and where they stand in the market. I think that was the key thing.
Right.
And for the laptops, it was very clear, right? Like when we came into the market, the average mid-range gaming laptop, mid-tier gaming laptop was $3,000-ish.
Right.
And we launched at like 2K. So we had a very strong position right off the bat. Because we looked at the market and we knew that there was demand, because the custom laptops that we worked with a factory called Clevo, an ODM called Clevo.
Yeah.
And for those of you that are not familiar, Clevo is an ODM that builds for a lot of the top custom PC brands around the world. And basically, what we saw was that there was a huge enthusiast community around these bare-bone laptops. And I was just wondering, why is it not in Singapore? It was so popular. I myself, as a buyer, when I was
but you want it, right?
I was doing an exchange program in the US, and I really wanted one, and I actually ordered one from a company when I was in the US, and I was very impressed. So that was when I thought, I really wanted to bring these things to Singapore.
Right. Yeah. Then when do you start doing custom PC?
This was like, I think it was like 4 years in, 3 to 4 years in.
4 years in.
3 to 4 years in, yeah.
Wow.
About 3 years. We stayed as a laptop brand for about 3 years, and then we decided, we're going to go into PCs, and it was really well received. Right now, we are primarily a PC company.
Yeah, correct. So, any struggles with the whole PC? Like, what do you think?
I think one of the big struggles was when we first begun. Both PCs and laptops was like when you're a new player in Singapore, and you want to buy from the distributors. The distributors have very advantageous prices for the big sibling shop back then, and it was super challenging because like I look at the price list that the distributor gives me, then I look at the street price of the product, and my price list is higher than the street price. So it's like, how am I even supposed to compete?
Right.
Yeah. So that was one of the big challenges. So I had to talk to the brands directly, talk to distributors from around the world to try to find my own solutions.
Were there any? How do I put it? Because you're somewhat spoiling the market, right?
In what sense?
In the sense that you're putting the laptops a lot lower than other brands.
I mean, at the beginning, we were very competitive because the price was absolutely inflated. Like, I couldn't believe it, right? Like when I was a kid that was absolutely obsessed with gaming.
Yeah.
And I was also, because I studied in boarding school for quite a number of years.
Correct.
So I really loved my laptop. That's why I love laptops, was because I was a gamer who was always moving all over the place. So basically, what I realized was, how come every gaming laptop back then is like on the US website, $1,400 USD, and then in Singapore it's $3,500. I couldn't understand it. I couldn't understand it. So when I finally looked into it, I realized that the markups were just different. Yeah, depending on the country.
So my question is, for any of these like other brands got very pissed off at y'all?
I mean, probably we have received quite some hostility, not from the brands so much. The hostility was more from other retailers and distributors. Yeah. But I mean, that's just part and parcel of any form of competition. Like it can be very friendly. It can be hostility sometimes, but it's all part of competition, right? Just like if you're a gamer, there can be a geek community, your other competitors, and you get along with some, even though you know you might knock each other out in the tournament, but you won't get along with some either.
Right. Yeah. Right. So okay, so those were the starting struggles or problems. How about now? Like, do you have any struggles now, or they're like smooth?
I mean, the market is always changing.
Right.
So right now, obviously, it's challenging as well because coming out of
COVID,
coming out of lockdowns, everybody moving back to office.
Yeah.
There's a lot of challenges. There's a lot of behavioral user preference changes. Like it very quickly went from a like when COVID first hit, it went from desktop to laptops were very popular. Then now we are seeing desktops rise in popularity again, laptops dropping in popularity.
Right.
And yeah, that's because people are no longer mobile working around. A lot of them are going back to the office.
So how do you manage to solve this?
We just try to take it as it comes. So basically, we look at the situation, what's going on, we analyze the data, and then we try to make sure we're very agile. So one of the things that made Aftershock very successful in a sense was that we were really, really willing to react. When people say they like something, we try to do it. If people have a preference, we try to.
How hard is it to react?
It takes a lot of work. So you got to our head design team is basically like a elite squad. They're just willing to go to do what it takes to get the job done. Like basically our core management team is very passionate. Yeah.
So like, can you tell us the details? Like, what do they actually have to do? Why is it so hard? Like, why do they have to work when things change?
I'll give you one example.
Yeah.
Right. When just 3-4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what it was, maybe a bit longer.
Yeah.
I can't remember the exact date, but there was a huge slash. Like coming out of COVID, one of the brands decided to slash their graphics card prices.
Right. So I think it was Asus.
It's Asus.
Yeah, Asus.
So basically, they slashed.
Yeah.
And basically, the whole market of GPUs had to drop overnight.
Yeah.
So there's a huge reaction from it. So we decided that hey, we've got stocked up, like hundreds of cards.
Yeah.
And basically, we bought these cards at a really high price. But we have two choices. Either we just bite the bullet, we make a huge loss, and
like just sell it at a loss.
We try to get our cards in line with the correct SRP, or we can just slowly try to pull through. And so we made the decision almost immediately. We just bite the bullet. We go with whatever SRP. So our aim is to we always try to make sure we are very close to SRP, or even below it.
Right.
We want to make sure that we offer the value-add services that Aftershock gives, together with prices that are very competitive. That is what we try to do at the moment. And essentially that's our goal. So we had to make calls like that, which are very painful, but we know that it's very important that, because if not, we're gonna be it's gonna be very tough to offer good deals.
Yeah, correct. So sorry, I butchered the name.
How are we able to get?
How is Aftershock able to slash prices so frequently?
It's a very good question. It's due to sheer volume. So essentially, we're able to offer a lot better for less, because we're able to take, like, for example, if we purchase a graphics card, your typical retail store might buy 10 pieces.
Yeah.
We might buy 2,000, for example, and essentially what it enables us to do is to transfer that value over to the consumer. And but basically at the same time also this makes us not the most well liked by the competition.
Yeah.
So that's just part and parcel of it. Yeah.
Will you say you are Aftershock is the number one buyer
of GPUs?
Yeah, GPUs.
We have access to the numbers actually. We can see a rough overall number. That's what I can say. And so I would say at the moment in Singapore, yes. I believe so, at least based on what information I have.
Yeah. So there's another question by,
let's see what it got.
John Chi. How you? He asked. I feel like it's a Singapore.
How do you fund your company?
I feel like it's a Singapore accent when he asks, how you fund your company?
I mean,
it's not how do you fund it. How you fund your company?
Aftershock as well as the other businesses that I started were all completely bootstrapped.
What
bootstrap means that like there's two ways to run a company now, right? Like bootstrap means that it's you come up with a small one fixed amount of money out of your own pocket to start the company,
right?
And then you just go from there.
Then you earn, and then
you grow from there. You go back.
Yeah, basically me lah.
So basically we bootstrap. Like essentially the first 2+ years we didn't pay ourselves. We just use whatever excess to eat and take transport.
Understand.
So we didn't pay ourselves for a couple of years. We invested everything back in to grow the company. And eventually it got to the point where we got a lot of momentum. People liked us. We're very happy. We're having a lot of good feedback, and that's where we started growing. We started expanding and taking risks to try to expand the company lah.
I think a lot of people have this like in Singapore this mindset. If you have your own business, you must be damn rich. But the first 2 years is no.
It's it's like I always feel
it depends how good of a businessman you are, how good the company is, how you run. But it's either you put back your money, you put back the money back to your company, and then you don't really have money to spend, or you're just it's 7 days a week, 10 to 12 hours, just work, and it's only when you can really like properly hire specialty people is when you can. I won't say relax. I think because
there's no relax, especially in Singapore. Singapore is a hyper competitive market.
It's not relaxed where I think it's more of like you can have more of a this sentence, work-life balance. But honestly, there's still no.
I think that the moment you decide to be a business owner, in most scenarios, you're giving up that work-life balance. I mean, the biggest thing, if you ask me, because I worked in companies for a couple of years, the biggest thing I missed at that time was when you step out of the office and you go home.
Exactly.
It's shut off. That means you're doing something else. You're not thinking about So the biggest thing you give up is when you do a business is that it's with you 24/7, 7 days a week.
Correct.
Yeah, you're responsible for everything and everyone in it.
It's very interesting because Isaac from Mesh, he was here and then we were talking, and then he was like talking about the founder of the partner with Mesh, right? He was talking about he will wake up at 3 a.m. and then he cannot go back to sleep.
You're thinking about things,
and the same thing. It's a very common problem that I see. Even like my friends that have their own businesses, right? I can see their private Insta story, and then like, I woke up this time and I cannot sleep. I thought I was the only one, and then I was like,
sometimes when things are very intense, you even dream about work.
And I like it's. You basically don't stop working, and you're constantly thinking about it, especially in the creative media. You will suddenly just do a random thing and then go, oh my god, I can make a video of this. Or you're just talking to someone and then, oh my god, I can make a video of this. It's like it doesn't stop.
Everything seems to be potential things that you want to apply to your business that you see.
Okay. Let's see whether there's any question related to this.
Let's go down to see if there's any good questions.
Is Intel or AMD Ryzen better? We talked about this. You can go back to the live stream. The offer finished yesterday. The offer finished yesterday.
People asked about
Okay. Never mind. We will get into to Q&As later on. Next thing, I wanted to ask like any good experience, bad experience, any like tea to spill, or whether you can spill.
I mean, like when we first started the company, there was a lot of good and bad. Like we were having a lot of fun trying things out, and it's a blast, right? When you run a business, or it's just like it's not just running a business, but when you do any project of your own, and you try something new and you see really good results. Like you launch a product, you thought very hard about the product of your team, and then people love it. That's a really good feeling.
I would say doing content creation, you have that feeling as well, because like you create some content and then people like it, like yes.
It's amazing when you see people really love the product and see the value in it. But at the same time, there's bad as well. Like I mean, when we were really small, there were other players in the market. We did get bullied and stuff. I mean, people tried. We had to deal with it, and at first, because I was new, I didn't.
Can you say what exactly is this bully?
Like for example, there was a brand that asked us to create laptops under their name. And basically there were consequences, like potential, like implied consequences if I didn't. Then when we were small,
Can you say what is these consequences?
It was like we'll go to the factory and go around you. That kind of thing.
Right.
That kind of thing. Along those lines.
Yes.
But basically, I was a nervous wreck because I was new, right?
Especially back then, because back then was just laptops, right? And then if they go,
it's our entire business.
Yeah.
So basically, back then, if they managed to, let's say, remove our distributorship, we would have been gone right there. Then. So
did they do it?
I mean, they didn't. They didn't. But basically, my partner, who's my brother, came back from overseas and told him to go away. He didn't care. He said, if this is...
I feel like the go away wasn't a direct quotation.
Yeah, it was not a very nice way of putting it. But the gist was that my partner's opinion was that, if this is how we go out, then so be it. Like, we can't be... Essentially stuff like this happens in the business world. And you just got to deal with it. That's why for Aftershock, a lot of the way we do business, even though we are a bigger player now, is we just try to compete through our products.
Right.
So we just try to compete through very aggressive deals. Yeah, essentially, because I mean, that's an ethical line that's very important, I feel. You need to compete clean. Yeah.
So I do. So this question actually asked a lot on Instagram. I didn't put it because so many.
Yep.
Can you make a lot of money in the PC building?
Okay, I've done 3 or 4 businesses now.
Yeah.
I can tell you that the PC one is the toughest.
Can you say what the 3 businesses are?
I did a few businesses. I founded OmniDesk as well.
Yeah.
I founded Aftershock in Australia, so you can consider it a different one. And also, we did Prism Plus. So Prism Plus was a business that we founded, but I don't run the company.
Right.
I haven't been for many years.
Yeah.
It's no longer, like, a lot of people think that Aftershock and Prism are affiliated.
Yeah.
Actually, we're not.
Yeah,
we are 2 separate companies. There's no affiliation anymore.
Right.
But basically, I had been involved in several companies throughout the years, and I can tell you that the PC one is by far the hardest. But it's also the most, I would say PCs are the most glamorous. Glamorous in the sense that people love PCs. Everybody relates to awesome, beautiful looking computers, and it does garner a lot of media coverage and everything.
Like to me, there's this thing where you can not say have a relationship with a product. Like you have this sentimental value. Like I can tell you, I have a lot of sentimental value with my PC, but not like a table or a chair or a monitor.
It's a commodity.
Yeah.
But basically, in a nutshell, I did quite a number of businesses in my time, and I found the PC one to be the hardest. Like, we will literally get like 10 years of effort is comparable to 1 year of effort in another endeavor.
Yeah, so I can understand.
But yet we are still here doing the PCs with 100% of our time. Like I said, the other businesses I started, Prism, in the past. So I'm not a part of Prism anymore.
Yeah.
But the businesses that we have been involved in, I actually was never involved in the operation. Like, it just didn't get me excited.
Right.
But even though PCs are so much tougher, like, I love doing it. I love planning a build.
Yeah.
I love planning how we're gonna structure and position products.
Because a lot of people ask me why don't I do my own company building PCs, and I told them, like, firstly, I can't make a lot of money because you need to work a lot because you need to build the PCs and customer support. I think customer support is the killer for a lot of people.
I mean, it can be like, because you go in with rose-tinted glasses, right? Like, you really love the products. Then you realize the first time every business, you're going to have really nice customers and really difficult ones as well. And you realize the first time you run into someone that's really unreasonable or mean, it can be it can be eye-opening, and it can be very tough for some people.
To the answer of why I don't build for people is basically that, like, it's very low margins, and if you look at the market, right, when the demand is high, during COVID, no supply. Then when now the demand is low, everything is too cheap. Very hard. Margins are low. So it's very, very hard to make any money on PC build. And then you look at people like, wow, I see some word of mouth reviews are very brutal. Which is great, because the next topic I want to talk to you about is ridiculous customers. I think that's good. This is going to be a very funny topic.
Well,
do you have
got to
any
be careful
share?
Because we don't want to badmouth regardless our users, regardless. But I can share a few stories. Like, we had all kinds of challenging. Like, there's the typical ones that not so challenging, where for example someone might drop water into the laptop, and then they'll say it just by itself, and then you open it up and it's full of water.
Yeah,
there's like that one is like that one is more like obviously people just want to get a machine repaired, and we understand lah. So we try to find a way to navigate and help them regardless. Then you have more legendary stories like there were users that didn't buy we literally had a user that didn't buy a PC from us.
Yes.
He brought a PC in from outside. And then when we said, this is the Aftershock PC service center, we service our products.
Okay.
Like went really mad and just started screaming at the staff.
Wait. So he came down with his PC?
Yes, from somewhere else. And basically, actually we do help. But how we do occasionally service PCs from on request, third party, whatever.
Yeah.
But it really depends on load. So if Aftershock's side, if we have our customers to serve, if it's a busy period, then we will prioritize.
Wait, the fact that y'all actually do it is mind blowing. Why would y'all do it?
What I said is that look, if we service someone's PC and it's from somewhere else, right, and we do a great job, the next time they want a PC, they'll come for us.
Right.
I mean, it's just about building because in the end, it's not about just making a sale. It's about building a long-lasting relationship with your users.
Understand. So what did he give a bad review or something?
I can't remember this one, but I just remember he blew up at the staff. It was like screaming profanities at the staff. So normally the staff some of the staff may be quite timid. They'll come in and ask for help. And, whatever. So so what happened, I remember is that our manager went out to the front, and he challenged the manager to a fight. It's like he just got up really close, like put his face really close.
Oh no! Being in any business that you have to deal with customers, this kind of thing is gonna happen.
No, but it's just like the law of like probability, right? There will be, if you have 1,000 customers, you're going to have maybe 800 that are just you serve them, they don't really say much. There's going to be maybe 100 that are really nice, really friendly, they really make you feel like, wow, I love my job. And there's also going to be some that were like, wow. It's harsh.
I remember you told me some stories, and then I was thinking we can make a skit.
The most legendary one we had. Well, I mean, it would be fun to make a skit channel about
ridiculous
customers. But we had one that basically called the staff. Basically, what happened was that he got a virus. So he got a virus on his computer.
Right.
And basically, it's very long ago. And basically, he basically assumed that it's broken immediately. So he called the staff, and before the staff could even diagnose or help or anything, he basically started screaming at the guy and using vulgarities and everything, and he just basically said, "Look, I'm the user, so I'm gonna F you and you're gonna take it." He just told the guy that straight up. The typical, don't you know who I am?
Right.
If I want,
basically, I buy your thing. I'm frustrated. I'm gonna scold you.
I basically took it out on the guy before even you could see what it was.
Okay.
And the reason why it was so memorable was because he was just screaming at the staff for like 30 minutes. This was very early on in the very early years of the company. They're just screaming at the staff, and then when he finally came down, we found out what it was, and it was just like a click and it's gone. It's like basically just remove the virus, do a scan and remove the virus. Or I can't remember the reformat. It's so many years already, but it was just very memorable because the change in attitude, the moment that he realized was different, and in the end, we still served him like everybody was friendly, everything, and he got his thing fixed and he left. But it was still very shocking. Like at the time, it was the first time we faced someone that did that. It was very shocking.
Do you have to you or your team have to deal with a lot of these the common mistakes kind of
I mean, the most common one we get is like when people buy a PC and they connect the display.
That's what I gotta say.
We even made a skit about it. So people always connect the HDMI
into the motherboard instead of the
when they have a DGPU.
Yes,
so for some setups the motherboard ports are disabled.
Yes.
So they basically connect there.
Then cannot.
They will ask that.
So like, how do y'all like?
We did a lot of things. Like we put on the boxes, we put on a card, a guide where to plug in.
Do people still until this day still?
And there's people still sometimes will do it. So we're literally thinking of pasting a sticker over it and just saying don't plug here.
The reason why I say this is because just yesterday, one of my friends just called me a video call, like a 3-way video call. It's like, okay, Julian, my friend, which I know him, we go clubbing. I only see him in the club. It's like he wants to play Call of Duty. How much is it to? What can you buy for 1,000? Then like 1,000, you can't really buy a lot. I guess you can. Then I asked him, what's your specs? Then he's like, 6,000 series, 6th gen Intel. They're like, oh, okay. Then what's your GPU? 1070. They're like, 1070 can what? Right? 1080p. Then I'm like thinking, maybe overheating or what. Then I'm like, no. Then I think, where's your HDMI plugged in?
Oh, okay.
It's like, what you mean? Then he went through, right? You see the cable in the motherboard there, like, so you need to put your cable.
The big question is if he's been using it all this time.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm like, oh my god, you've been using.
I think that should be the big question. If he's been using it all this time, wondering why
That's what I said.
it's not performing.
I said, like, okay, you use, I don't know how long you've been using, but you have had your GPU, your $300, $200 GPU, for how long, and it's been doing nothing. It's damn hilarious. I thought John, what you doing, John?
Don't be like John.
Yeah, John. Okay, the last topic that we'll go into is what do you see tech in the next 10 years? Like, not just like PCs, but like tech in general. Like even in cars or like AI.
It's super hard to say. I mean, I'm really interested in things like electric cars.
Yeah.
But I think the PC space will be completely transformed.
In what way?
In the sense that performance of the components is reaching a point where the average consumer won't upgrade nearly as often. I think, like if you're getting a 4090 now,
it's like talking about like phones, right? Because like back then,
it's just
each year it was
like, there was a huge increment at the start. There was very big differences, right?
Yeah.
Like, and
then there's one point where it's like very good already. Like
at the point where it reached maturity,
there
just wasn't a reason to upgrade every year anymore, because you're not going to see like life-changing differences, right? And for PCs it's the same. Like if they don't produce games that push the threshold of hyper-realistic visuals, right? If they don't create these games, if developers don't have the incentive to create these games, which unfortunately it seems to be the case, because developers have found out that they can make games that you want to make a game where every PC can run it.
Yeah.
So you have a huge player base because everybody can install and play.
Yeah.
And on top of that, they monetize inside the game. That's very popular now.
Yeah.
So because of that, you see less and less AAA titles. So if basically there's less games that push the threshold of hyper-realistic graphics, aka your cyberpunk, right, with ray tracing and everything, then there's going to be less need for people to upgrade their crazy graphics card as often.
Yeah. Like, I really blame it on games and microtransactions for the lack of graphic improvement in games. Like back then, Crytek.
It used to be a selling point.
Yeah.
It used to be literally when the new game was being launched, they show off their engine.
Yeah.
They show off the hyper-realistic shadows. They show off, their sunbeams, everything. It used to be like when you launch a game, those are the unique selling points at the back of the box. They talk about the hyper-realistic graphics. Nowadays, it's never the selling point anymore. They don't talk about this first.
I remember back in 2008 when Crytek made
Crysis.
their Crysis, right? Their new engine, and I remember the review for it. They didn't get best graphics because there's no point giving best graphics because no PC can run it. It's so hilarious.
I had a gaming laptop at the time. It was an Asus G1S. And basically, when the game first came out, none of my machines could run it on medium even. So I bought a new PC the next year. And I was like, now I can.
Still cannot, right?
And I went from low to medium setting. What is this?
And don't forget, it was 1080p back then. I remember I had the 760.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, cannot. So back then I was like, oh, SLI. I'll buy two 760.
I had a
Still
laptop
cannot.
SLI.
Wow.
Yeah. So monster.
Yeah, back then, you were really looking forward for the next GPU because
I mean, you sometimes you don't even play the game. You open the game. And you just go in there, you throw a grenade at a couple of barrels, and you see the...
Yeah, that's what I do.
Like in Crysis, I remember the big thing that got me was that you could go to one of those wooden huts that were on like sticking out of the ocean. You throw a grenade in the hut, and the way the hut just blows up.
And then how it interacts with the water.
Correct. How it interacts with water. And I like how you could walk, and then you have your leg, and then you could touch the leaf with your leg, right? And then the leaf will move with the leg. I was like, holy shit, this is next generation.
Yeah. I remember like shooting the palm trees. Then the palm tree will fall, right? Then you shoot
off individual leaves.
Yeah, and then you can pick up the log, and you can throw the log at people.
Yeah.
And the bad thing is that you don't have games like that anymore.
As in, there isn't enough incentive. I mean, there's still games that look amazing. Like I think Witcher was absolutely amazing. Yeah, but now when developers develop a AAA title, they also want to make it work on a console. So they need to make sure that it can be scaled down.
That's the sad thing.
Yeah.
Which, you know what? That's why I like what GTA, Rockstar does. Like, they understand that, so they do console first. Then later, 1 year later, then they do PC. And then the PC is properly done for PC. It's not like a port like a very bad, like usually Call of Duty is very comparable from the console and the PC. Yeah. People can see it as they're greedy. You know, you sell the console, then next year you buy the PC. But the thing is, it's worth buying the PC because of the graphic.
Provided it comes with like an optimization, and takes advantage of the hardware that the PC has to offer. I think
the problem with GTA 5 was that the loading times were insanely long. You can wait 3 minutes.
I didn't play much of it.
Oh, it's damn dumb. You basically just the whole game just waiting for the game to load. But now with the whole SSDs and what's that called? Windows the fast storage. Oh shit, I forgot what it's called. Well, direct storage.
Okay, but I don't think it made a big impact.
I think not yet, but I think with GTA they should. And imagine it loading instantly, it would be great. Because I can tell you, right, for PS5, they have somewhat of the direct storage, right? For FIFA. So back then when you play Ultimate Team for the PS4, when you load up, right, they will show you the opponent's team. Okay. You got like a good 10 seconds. With the PS5, right, half a second you don't see anymore. So it's like it's very different. So instead of showing it in the loading screen, they show it in the game itself. Yeah. So that's how.
Wait, are you saying GTA 5 on the PC had that long load times, or are you referring to console?
No. PC was especially longer.
Even with SSD?
SSD definitely will be quicker.
Okay. I didn't play GTA 5.
But you see, back then you don't. It wasn't a common thing to put games in SSDs. It was still hard drives. You had SSDs for your operation system, but you have your hard drive for games.
One of the things we tried to do with Aftershock, which actually turned out to be a very big advantage for us, was we were one of the main movers first who wanted to force SSDs as default. So when we first started pushing SSDs, most of the brands were still on pure hard drive.
Right.
And so
you mean like OS?
At the time when we tried to make it a staple in our lineup, a lot of the brands were still on just HDD, and essentially it proved to be a huge advantage for us.
Yeah.
Because you show people back then, especially back then, people are not familiar with SSD.
Yeah, I think also because a lot of the other brands back then weren't very reactive, right?
It's not just reactive. It's like giant MNC brands. They commit to giant amounts of hard disk, so like they can't just flick of a switch.
Yeah. Because like when SSDs first came out, like the 2.5 bay ones.
Initially, it was always you buy a 1 TB hard drive, then you get a 120 SSD.
Yeah.
So many years ago, and then they'll put your key games on the 1 TB SSD. So you need to sit down, you need to explain to people how they best use it, right?
Because I remember like 128 GB SSD was damn expensive. Like the first time, it was insane.
Pricey as hell.
Super expensive.
Back then, you'd even have people who would go for 64 GB SSDs. Just to put the OS on it.
Yeah. But I really like once you go SSD on your OS, cannot go back already. It cannot.
No, of course. You would never want to go back to hard drive.
Cannot. It's like zero.
I still remember back then we had I remember it was a 480 GB Crucial SSD, and then we were just like, wow, this is 480. It's like godly. We look at the blue box.
Yeah, I remember those times. Like because back then laptops were also all hard drive, like the 2.5 bay hard drives also. Then I'm like, cannot.
We immediately moved the moment that they had. Back then it was M-SATA SSDs.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, because you want to save the hard drive bay for the mechanical drive, so you have a M-SATA SSD pad over, and we use the 240.
Yeah, I had to learn the hard way with M-SATA and NVMe SSD because like last time bots only took NVMe SSD, and I bought a SATA thinking it was NVMe SSD because of the price. I'm like, shit, I did the wrong thing. But yeah, back then, that's the thing crazy, right, about tech. Like now these days, 100 and
SSDs are cheap as hell now.
GB is like $50.
1 TB SSD is like a mainstream.
Yeah.
It's a mainstream item.
Back then, 1 TB was what, $500, $600?
I think it was more.
Yeah, just the old ones, not the NVMe SSD.
And it's also come to the point where SSDs are extremely reliable. What we found is that we have carried several different brands. We have premium brands and bang for buck focused brands. And we found that it used to be that there was a very big gap in the reliability between the premium brands and the bang for buck. But right now, the failure rate across the board is so low for SSDs. Like we're seeing great reliability across the board.
So when was the first time you had SSDs?
Wow, shoot, man, I can't remember.
It's quite long ago, right?
I only know it was back when we were selling Nvidia 680Ms.
Okay, so I have a question for you because you have to do customer support, right?
Yeah.
When do they fail? Like, they're bound to fail, right?
No, from SSD, okay, at least within typically modern SSDs, within the lifespan that the user will use the machine for, typically we rarely see issues. Like in the current generation, like especially Samsung is absolutely amazing. Like even back from before, we were always like awestruck by the reliability of Samsung SSDs. Like it's just like you ask anyone in the industry that I met so many people in the industry, and whenever you bring up the reliability of Samsung, they're always like, oh my god.
Yeah, but, the reason why I ask is because the difference between SSD and hard drive is both of them will fail at one point in time. Hard drive will fail a lot quicker.
Anything with a moving part, there will be a lifespan to it.
But the difference between hard drive is that you can actually hear when it's gonna fail. Like there's a very clear indication whether it's
of death.
Yeah, like a tick. When you hear a tick and you still manage to get your storage, you're damn lucky already.
You can hear it before it dies actually.
Yeah. Whereas SSDs, you have a limited.
There's no moving parts.
Yeah, there's no moving part, but there's a limited read and write amount that you can do. I don't know what is the amount, but
modern SSDs have come to the point where the user isn't gonna hit that threshold easily.
Okay.
It's not gonna hit that threshold easily.
Understand. So you don't usually hear any SSD.
I mean,
great.
We're very pleased because it's come to the point where even if you look at value range SSDs or premium SSDs, the failure rates of both are so low. It's like in the less than 1%.
I didn't know. I was expecting a lot.
It's come to the point where SSD is rarely the cause of any issues.
So what is the majority of the issues?
The most common, I would say, are MB. Like especially,
I'm gonna guess motherboard and PSU.
I mean, PSU was before. Now I think it's got in general it's gotten a lot better. Like the current PSUs that we have selected, like very rare.
Do you get the 10-year warranty ones?
Yeah, we do. The high end, super high end PSUs generally come with a 10-year warranty. But the PSU industry is another one where where it's come upwards a long way in terms of reliability. I'm talking about like heart failure. Right?
Yes.
Like, cannot boot or stop or whatever. It's very rare. Like initially when we first entered the PC desktop PC scene, PSU was a very important. Like it still is an important choice, but back then it was like make or break.
But do you know why or how it happened? Because like back then 10-year warranty wasn't a thing, but now they are so confident to put 10-year warranty.
The industry just grew as a whole. Like the factories improved their processes over the years, and it's come to the point where a lot of the failure rates have dropped a lot for a lot of components. The only time that it was very painful was initially at the first year of COVID lockdown. We think because my theory on this is that because during the COVID lockdowns, a lot of factories were locked down. They were still trying to produce goods. It must have compromised
a bit of quality.
It must have compromised their operations somehow. Like we saw there was like more incidents of like when we checked the goods, there were issues during the start of COVID.
I would say there was one PSU that messed up my whole build. And I did a stupid thing where I didn't know it was a PSU, so I changed out motherboards and it killed that motherboard.
What?
And you guess which motherboard is it?
What?
High-end motherboards. The Godlight.
So did you manage to get it covered, or was that a sponsored?
It was sponsored, so I can't do anything. So there's no. Wow, I was so sad.
I mean, choosing a PSU is important, even to this day,
It was supposed to be a fire warranty gold, and then I'm like, oh crap! It was just unlucky.
The advice for viewers is that selecting the right PSU, you can look for PSU tier list. It's still a freaking important thing when you're building a PC. All we are saying is that the industry has actually moved forward quite a bit since 6-7 years ago in terms of the average quality. I think. There's no doubt still PSUs that are not the right choice, but so you have to do your homework and research a PSU. But I think that as a whole, the industry has come a long way in both PSUs and SSDs.
Right. Okay, so going back to the topic, so what I think that in the next 10 years that is going to be very exciting is really AI. I think what Elon Musk he fears with AI, right? I think it's actually quite legit. Honestly, looking at how AI...
You mean AI taking over, AI attacking humans and having
maybe not
Terminator scenario?
Maybe not that, but in a way that is quite scary. Because I don't have the big brain to really think of how Elon Musk thinks, but like looking at the progression of AI, it's really that's very scary, right? Because the first time we seen AI like this, right, was OpenAI with the Dota and how the Shadow Fiend basically annihilate
they
pro
program an
players.
AI to annihilate StarCraft players as well.
Oh yeah.
And StarCraft is a very complicated game.
Right? So like to see them did 1v1s and then StarCraft and then 5v5, and then now we look at image AIs, right?
Yeah.
And now driving AIs, I quite scared also.
I mean, I see how it could get out of hand.
Yeah.
But the way I think about these things, my own personal philosophy, is that the way I think about these things that I can't control is I just exit them from my mind, because it's like, I mean, a lot of bad things could happen now. Look at the world. The world is like in the most unstable state. We have war, and you never know if things could it's kind of sad, but you never know if things could accelerate, if things could get worse. And I felt that like it's the least of our. I mean, I felt it is a legitimate concern, but it's not our top concern as a species at the moment.
Like, I don't think AI will take over us in our lifetime.
Yeah.
Not in our lifetime, but it's just the way it improved is insane.
Yeah,
like even DLSS.
It's scary, right?
Like to think of how DLSS make like fill in pixel, and now with DLSS
prediction.
Doing prediction and filling up frames. I'm like, wow, that's insane. That's and it looks when it's done right lah.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
It looks amazing.
Right? It's almost hard to tell apart.
Yeah. So it's like, wow. I'm thinking how AI will be like. I had this conversation with one of my friends about AI, the AI generating art or the thing.
AI art is a huge thing because like you can literally show AI art to someone who's into art and they can't tell that it's AI art.
Then there was I don't know what is the exact situation. Basically, artist passed away, and then someone went to make AI analyze his work and create art, and then it was his art, and then it's like style, basically. Then it was so controversial because it's like. Because he did it to tribute him, but then
in the end, it's you feel like it trivializes. I mean that is one of the things about the future, like in general, like is that technology may take over so many things that what's going to happen to a lot of the roles that play in society. It's going to have to change, right?
Like it's a bit like how back then there were milkmen because you don't have
refrigeration.
Refrigeration. Yes. Pressurization. And then you have like things like having the guy. What's it? It's called lighting up lampposts because there wasn't light bulbs. And then when light bulbs came about, then they don't have jobs. I think there will still be needs for like digital.
The only difference and the scary part about today's world is because of the globalization and the way everything's so interconnected. When something like this rolls out in today's world, the speed and impact that it rolls out and the impact that it would have would be nothing like it was in the past.
Yeah, you have no time to like react to it, and then market is it's gonna be fun in the next few years. Okay lah, it's like that's the thing lah, especially in tech when things change so fast. Okay, let's go into.
Let me see this.
Not yet. We have Q&A on Instagram.
Instagram first.
Instagram first. Okay, come, let me put in the middle. Let's get Bob out here.
Thank you.
Okay. So, but first we do Instagram. Next one. Yeah, we don't need. Switch. By Tiny You, I can't really see, sorry. Do majority of people constantly upgrade their parts in Singapore?
I would say the typical upgrade cycle we see in Singapore is somewhere between 2.5 to 3 years.
Yeah.
Yep.
2.5, 3 years. But I guess because his perspective is more on the people that buy
from
PCs,
us. But not just from us. I mean, in general, what we see, because people they don't like to buy one generation and get the one right next after. What we see is most people like to get
2 years. 2 years sounds right.
At least they get 2 jumps.
Even in phones, like they would get the iPhone 12 and then they stop. Then they get 14. Yeah, I think
similar.
Back then when there's like 9S, then people will skip the S, or people will only get the S. I think it's quite similar. 2 years. It also depends on the people also. Generally, it's 2 years, but if you have people like me, like nerds, like we want the upgrade every year.
So, I mean, there'll be a group of users that just want to have the latest. But I think the average person will upgrade to the 2.5 to 3 years.
Yeah, sounds about right. Okay, next. By .z87, is now the best time to buy a desktop as in best price for GPU prices?
I think that it really depends on what segment you're buying in. Like, the best way to put it is that I think 30 series GPUs are at almost rock bottom, if not rock. In fact, some brands are actually selling their GPUs like below cost, even like especially those with excess stock.
Right.
And the gist is that I think if you're looking at getting something in the 30 series range, like for example, I'll say a 3080 or 3060 Ti, it's pretty decent, right? Like the pricing right now is really competitive.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you don't need the performance right now, you can always wait, right? If you don't need it, there doesn't like my philosophy on buying a PC is you buy it when you need to do something specific with it. Yeah. But I think that 30 series GPUs are priced very competitively now. 40 series, like there'll be a lot of people who want to be first movers. But I'm excited to see what 4080, 16GB, and the other cards bring to the table.
Usually there's this thing called buyer's remorse, and if you buy a PC, just buy it and don't look back already. Never good to look back.
I mean, technology is always changing, right? So there'll always be something new just over the horizon.
Yeah, I think the thing is to be knowledgeable.
Yeah, you buy based on your needs and based on knowing like the market price trends. Yeah.
If you need to have a PC today because of work or what, then just buy. But if you look at a certain launch that maybe next week is going to launch, then you it's good to wait.
Wait and see.
Like it's a bit harder for the PC side because there's a lot of launches. But imagine iPhones, right? Usually iPhones launch in October, September. You know, you don't buy a new iPhone in August. You know, just wait. Just wait.
Even iPhone is even more of a thing, right? Because you know that if you launch a new iPhone, it's going to be relatively close in price to the old one.
Yeah.
But as for PCs, doesn't seem to be the case. Sometimes they launch a new product and it's like much more expensive.
Yeah.
So I think it's a very
you have to. That's why you need to constantly research about it. And one video that we are gonna do is CPU prices, GPU prices, so you can check back and all this kind of thing. So that is something that I also looking into it. Next question. We talked about this already. Who Aftershocks
the main user base lah.
Yeah,
I'll say the bulk majority of the user base are your more casual gamers or esports gamers who want to build a PC for either 1080. In the past, it was 1080p gaming. I would say the main customer now wants to build a PC for 1440p gaming.
So is it AMD or Intel?
What we're seeing right now, this is all based on price, right? So if Intel's price is very competitive in a given point of time, it's very popular. Right now, 5600X is the most popular segment, 5600X and 12400F. And basically,
so most people don't go for the brand, they go for the deal.
They go for which one is the best bank because it's very obvious. You can just nowadays you can just go to Google search and compare. All the performance bars will come up, and essentially it's so close. So if AMD 5600X is a very good price point right now, it's super popular.
So that there is no fanboys. Like
I think there are fanboys. There will always be fanboys, but I think the bulk majority of the consumer base will do their research, or they'll ask their friends. And like fanboyism is there, but it's always a small minority.
Yeah. Because back when the 11 Gen came out for the Intel, and the 11400F was a very good CPU, and they had very good pricing. People still like the 5600 is better. Then it really it really depends. It's not about better or worse. It's what the price in that period. At the time,
it's always the price point.
Yeah.
So I think 11400F was once the 5600X launched, right? It was tough.
Yeah.
It was very tough. The 5600X was quite dominating.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. This one is an anonymous question. One thing you can't survive without.
I can't survive without playing some sort of competitive game at any point in time. I was a ex-competitive Warcraft 3, Starcraft, Age of Empires, and like quite a number of games. So one thing I look for when I play games is I always look for if there's a ladder. I really enjoy the sense of grinding the ladder, trying to climb. Yeah, I love it. Like they recently launched like Age of Empires 4. I played it for a while, and I was so disappointed that it launched without a proper ladder. I was really disappointed. Like I love the game, but the fact that it launched without a ladder was really killed it for me.
Right. For me, it's a bit cliche, I guess. It's really a PC. Because if you think about it, My PC is my whole life. My work, my entertainment, my communication. Basically, when the whole COVID hit, right, I remember a lot of my extrovert friends were suffering. And I'm like, no problem.
Yeah.
I'm working, I'm playing games, I'm talking to my friends. What you're talking about?
Nothing changed.
Nothing changed.
Nothing changed.
No, I mean, a later part is like, oh yeah, I do miss going out with my friends. Yeah. But it took very long for me
sure.
to
After
feel.
long enough, you're like, oh my god, like. But I mean, for me, I missed going out to restaurants.
Yeah. Oh yeah, restaurants. Restaurant.
Somebody called me pui pui just now. Yeah. I like food.
Rude. Okay, next question.
Food. It's okay.
Question for Aftershock founder: is it worth buying the 7000 series over the 5000 series with the current condition?
My suggestion is I actually think there will be shifts in the 7000 series price. I actually think, and we're trying to talk to AMD about it as well. Right. Essentially, I think that if you need the extra performance, like if you're building an absolute top of the line rig, right, then you'd either be looking at Intel 13 Gen or Ryzen 7000. But if you're talking about, hey, I'm looking, it depends on your mindset. I'm looking to get the best bang for buck. Yeah. I just need to play games at 1080p. Yeah. Then go for 5000 series.
Yeah. Next question. Any plans to work together with? Oh, this one I'm actually not quite sure.
This is the framework. I mean, I didn't follow this project closely, but I'm assuming. Did you check it already? I'm assuming it's a modular laptop. So okay, I'm not familiar with framework itself, but I can talk about modular laptops. Yes. So when we launched Aftershock PC right in the beginning, our laptop was a very modular one. So the Clevo laptops back then were basically, your MX-M3 GPU, which means the GPU could be removed. And all the CPUs were manually mounted. So there's a socket, you can remove it. Laptops now, they have it soldered on. The thing about modular style laptops, especially gaming laptops, if it's a gaming laptop, is that they tend to be much thicker. Yes. Because they need to accommodate the ports, everything. They need to accommodate the socket. And they manage to be much thicker. And there's a lot of extra, extra price, extra weight, a lot of things that come with that modular format for us. That's what it was for us. And what we quickly found was that, 80-90% of the people, they wanted the laptop to be slimmer. Yeah. They wanted it to be lighter. The upgradability was also like a big challenge because like a lot of the time, you have a modular laptop, you say MX-M3, you say it might be, the vendor tells you it might be upgradable, but the next generation comes and the next generation card may need a greater bandwidth, or it just may not be compatible. And really, we think that for laptops, like for us, it's more focused on, nowadays people want they want a laptop that's slim. They don't want to feel heat on their fingers when they're using it, and they want big battery life, right, as well as a good display. Yeah, the components are pretty standard across the board for all brands, right? Everybody's like using similar components, but it's all about the user experience and the refinement of the product.
Yeah, for me, I don't really care about laptops. Yep. Like for me, the problem with laptops I have is that it's expensive compared to a desktop. Yep. And the screens are small. Refresh rate is never 1 ms, which I understand why it is, but because I used to be a CSGO player, so when I tried any laptop, I hated it.
I mean, if you do an apples to apples comparison between laptop and desktop, desktop is obviously the ultimate experience, I would say, for PC gamer. Yeah. But just think about it from the point of view of someone that likes to go to their friend's house to play, carry a laptop, someone that travels a lot, goes to a boarding
friends. You needed friends. I didn't know that.
I used to love that, like all the time back then in the old days. When we were playing like Warcraft 3. Somebody would designate someone's house, and everybody carries their PC there. If you're a laptop user, you just carry your laptop. It's great. I mean, there's a lot of use case scenarios where a laptop is a good choice.
I would say only recently I started to enjoy laptop because I started to travel, and having a high-end laptop is great overseas.
It's awesome.
But still, I think as a PC builder, right, because you know how cheap a desktop can be. That's where you're like, laptop, you cannot customize it.
Ironically, during the COVID, there was, because laptop prices didn't spike the way PC right. There was a time where laptop prices were absolute steal. Right. Because PC prices had gone through the roof. Laptop prices were so reasonable.
I don't think it's a steal.
There was a window.
I don't think it's a steal. I think it's more of desktop was just so expensive that the laptop looked like a steal.
It looks like a steal, but you would still call it that considering most people just needed something during the lockdown.
One thing that I want to do next time because I plan to do more travel videos, hopefully, maybe go to Thailand to go to their like Sim mall, their own
equivalent
Sim,
the equivalent.
Which I think will be very fun. Is that I have a laptop, right? And this was I just learned it a few years ago. Having a dongle, you can just connect everything in with just one cable.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that is the, because I hate mouse touch pads. I hate it. You like people say, oh, Apple has the big one. I'm like, no, I don't care whether big or small.
For me, I always want to use the mouse as well.
Yeah,
honestly.
I don't like I guess it's because like I'm a video editor, right?
To me, a mouse pad is just a stopgap. If I really am moving around, I need to use it. I'll always plug in the mouse.
Yeah. Okay, next question. I mean, kind of the question we had, which is next question. Will Aftershock take in used laptops?
We don't have a
refurbish them and selling.
We don't do this, and there's a good reason for it. Like
I feel like it's a lot of problems.
It's a very different line of business.
Yeah.
Essentially, the companies that do refurbish sales, they usually export. I mean, the ones in Singapore, that's what they commonly do. They sometimes sell it in Singapore, but most often they export. There's a very different line of work from what we're doing.
Interesting. I didn't know. So they export because to countries like Australia or countries like
it depends. Like they will export to maybe like okay, I'm not in the line of work, so I don't know, but I've spoken to them before, and they told me they export to like sometimes Burma, or I don't know what I don't know which countries, but basically the main idea is that they don't just take in like consumer gaming laptops. They take in a lot of entry level laptops. That's the bulk.
Another question.
Yeah. Why not sponsoring esports teams? Well, we have done it quite a number of times. We sponsored Faceless. We sponsored lots of other local teams. We try to sponsor teams, but it also has to like make sense in the sense like we prefer to sponsor if it's a local team, or if there's a chance for us to collaborate and create content. Yeah.
So I kind of understand why y'all would sponsor, but what is the ROI for you guys? So the esports team will do. Wait. Firstly, I actually don't know a lot.
Yeah.
Do you just give them like PC or loan them PCs, or do they actually have like money?
It really depends. Like some teams want money, some teams want hardware, some teams want a combination of both, and it really depends on what the team does, like their pitch, as well as like dedication. Like we've had a lot of scenarios where we had teams that we worked with that were awesome. Like we worked with Ice and Faceless, and we have had a really great relationship.
Yeah.
We were very happy with that partnership. And then we've also worked with situations where we sponsor a team, and then the team have maybe an internal quarrel, break up like within a month or two.
Right.
We've actually had cases like that as well. So it's really about finding the right teams to work with.
Right. Yeah. So what's the ROI for you guys? Like, what do you expect?
It's the same. The ROI for us is the same as for any other brand. Like just if like we make sure they use the products that they like. So they have to like the product first of all. Like they have to enjoy it. And it has to be a plus to their experience or to their output.
Yeah.
Like they must enjoy using the product first of all, and secondly, it's mostly about visibility. Right. So teams when you work with them and they perform well at a tournament or whatnot, they give the brands they work with a lot of visibility. There's branding and visibility.
So do you value this?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's really. But like I said, like it's just like if you have customers, you have difficult ones and good ones. If you have teams that really deliver value. Like they have teams that are very respectful and they want to deliver value. Like they see it as their pride. They want to show that they can deliver value. And there's also people that just there's also teams that approach us where they just want hardware. But in their mind they're not really thinking. It's the same. It's not just esports, right? Yeah. Even if you work with content creators or influencers, there'll be a scenario where there's a content creator that maybe looking to do they will work with them and they're trying to do absolutely their best. Yeah. And then there'll be content creators who will just look to do the bare minimum. So it's really about it's not about whether we want to or not, it's about finding the right partners.
I guess the reason why I'm asking this also is because it's a very different thing from content creation and esports, because esports is you get more exposure if they win.
I mean, right? Of course. Right. Like in a sense that's what it is, right? Like you sponsor a team, if they win, it's explosive.
Yeah. Okay, next question.
Why not sell the PC parts by themselves?
This one is...
It's something that we're thinking about. We're not doing it at the moment because we want to focus on our builds. We want to make sure that we spend a lot of time. We upgraded our service center like crazy. Like if you come to it now, it's like 3 times the size. It's the biggest department in our company because we want to make sure we do service absolutely the best as we possibly can. But essentially, there's a lot of things we're considering, but we want to perfect our craft first in where we are, and then we eventually might be moving into this space. But as for now, we're focusing on just our builds and trying to make the build itself as well as the service after that as good as possible.
What if, let's say, you were to you're thinking of selling individual parts in the future?
Yeah, we're thinking about it.
So what kind of problems do you see?
There's a whole lot of challenges. It's not just about the problems that we see doing that, but you need to start. You need to start doing it. It means you have a retail store.
Yes.
It means that you have products all over the shelves and large quantities of a huge variety of products. And it means you need to let people be able to walk in, take a product, walk out. You need to set up the POS system, the cashier counter.
Right.
There's a lot of work. There's a lot of setup.
A lot of logistics behind
the website is also not designed to sell small products.
Right.
So there's a lot of huge amounts of commitment and work involved. Then you need to stock all those things in. You need to make sure there's a separate from the rest because you'll be drawing individual parts on a very high volume basis.
I understand. Interesting. Okay, next question. Okay, that's it for the questions. Now we will proceed on to live Q&A. If you have any questions, you can comment it. We will look up to see whether there's anything.
Yeah, but some of these guys on top may have left.
Yeah, but we'll just do it. So, bottleneck.
Well, 5600 bottlenecks the 3090 Ti. In certain usages, it might. But in general, what we do, we have some packages for 3090 Ti now, right? Those are our clearance specials. Basically, what we do is we offer it with 56, with 58, or 59. Now, I think it's 56, 59, and as well as 7000 series. So the gist is that there will be customers, we know there will be customers that just want the highest GPU they can get, but they don't prioritize their CPU because they just want 4K gaming performance, for example. The bottleneck impact will not be gigantic. There will be some difference, but it will not be absolutely gigantic.
Aftershock or TikTok shop.
That's Preston.
Oh, that's Preston. Go away, Preston. Let's see. Please ask your questions. Then we can.
Go to the bottom.
We can. Portable gaming.
You mean with the Steam?
Oh, Steam Deck. Yeah, Steam Deck. Do you think Steam Deck will?
I think there definitely will be a future for it, but I don't think it directly competes in the PC space.
Yeah.
That's how I view it. I think personally speaking, I'm not a big fan of portable gaming.
Do you had a PSP back then?
I did. There were some games I loved. I played Final Fantasy. The one is the prequel. What was it called? Crisis Core. And I freaking loved it on the PSP. Yeah. So I'm not saying I was always against it. I enjoyed portable gaming a lot as a kid. I played lots of RPGs on my. I had a Game Boy, as well as I didn't really like the Game Gear as much, but I had quite a number of portable systems. I think the Nintendo Switch is great as well.
Yeah. I remember PSP times. I forgot how old was
I think you can put Q&A on the screen. IMO. Yeah.
For me, portable gaming thing. Back then it was very appealing because I didn't really have a proper system.
But it's so accessible now, right? Would you say that the games on the Steam Deck are much more advanced than, say, playing Wild Rift on a headphone, for example?
Yeah.
Wild Rift on a headphone is an amazing experience.
Yeah.
I played it for a while. I think I was so shocked that you could have such games on your phone. I can't imagine if I was.
Oh my god! Now that you mention it, when PUBG was on phones the first time, I was mind blown. I'm like, because it was funny because PUBG dominated gaming for a period of time, and it was a PC game. And then they port it to Xbox. It was horrendous. I tell you, it's all pixelated mess. Look like mashed potatoes.
Dude.
And then when it came out on the phone, right, I'm like, cannot be that good lah. If a console can't do it, what makes me think a phone can do it? And then when you play it, and then what the hell? How did the phone do so
because
well?
They know how much is at stake. In terms of the potential.
Oh my god!
And I played Wild Rift on the phone for a while, and I was so amazed. I was just like, imagine if I was in the army or if I was a student in school. Every day after school, I reckon we would just be sitting there 5 stacking.
It's insane. I think mobile gaming has made gaming so accessible that legit office people are playing games. People that don't usually play games are playing games.
No, exactly. It's a very good gateway for introducing people to the gaming world.
Okay, let's see. What question do we have?
I think these are from before.
Does Aftershock accept and train interns?
We do. We actually do.
From schools?
I mean, we've had interns apply. In fact, our top management, 2 of the guys are ex-interns.
Oh.
Kwang is.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's an intern.
Oh, damn. Steam Deck. But okay, what do you think of the Steam Deck?
I think it's a good product. I think that for users who want to play a lot of titles, PC titles on the go, I mean, it fulfills a need.
I played it before.
I've yet to get a hands on the product myself, though.
The only problem is just the price.
Yep.
Like I think it's 2K.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't remember it being so expensive.
Because you need to ship it and then the demand.
Okay, but that's not the natural.
Yeah, that's not an MSRP. But to get it now, like there's Shopee listings that you can buy, and then it's reserved for like 1.8. Wait, what's this regarding?
What's going on in Australia?
If
you're talking about cloud gaming, I guess.
This regarding what's going on with Stadia. Do you think Stadia technology?
I believe she's talking about cloud gaming.
Yeah.
I think that.
Do you think it will impact PC sales? And if yes, in what way? So what?
It's really hard to say. Like when they first announced it, when they first announced cloud gaming concept, I was like, wow, I think this will impact.
Yeah.
I think this will move
like the Netflix of gaming, right?
I thought it will shift it towards thin client devices. Thin client devices meaning that you don't need such a powerful device. You source all your performance from the cloud. Like you just connect a tablet and you just you play your Witcher powered by a server somewhere. But the thing about this is I thought it would impact, but I thought it wasn't.
It wasn't a success.
As in, not yet. Things might change, but I don't think it would impact in the way that it will kill the PC market. It will just change the nature of the devices.
Why do you think it didn't really get any success? To me, it sounded like a good idea.
There are several reasons, I think.
But I think they just didn't implement it well.
I think a lot of people like to own their own hardware.
Yeah.
That's one thing. And the second thing is I think that for people that play esports titles, like
this, you can't do that.
If you tell me that I get 3 MS or 5 MS more in a different format, right? I also don't want already. If I'm playing a competitive game, but there's many reasons, right? There's also like countries where like the internet may not be up to.
Good point. Yeah, I think the internet. Yeah. I think people that really need it don't have proper internet.
Yep.
Because if you look at Xbox has a very good price point, like the Xbox Series S. And they have like a subscription where you get a lot of games.
Oh, that was a big success.
This is
very interesting. I think the landscape of gaming will change very much.
Okay, what's your thoughts on 8K gaming?
I think not for a while. Like right now, 1440p is still the favorite. 4K is coming to the picture, especially the 40 series.
4K is going to be a big thing in the next.
It also depends on the monitor selection.
5 years.
The display selection, like in Singapore, at least for the price point it's at now, it's still not going to be the mainstream. Close.
I think now it's starting to go into 1440p.
Yep. No, 1440p is quite there. I think it's like half already. Like half already. 1440p and 1080p are quite equal.
Yeah, I went into 1440p like 3 years ago, but now mainstream people are getting into 1440p. Like I always recommend people getting a monitor. If you're going 27-inch 1440p, anything like a 24, then you can go 1080. Because I did 1080 before with a 27-inch. Horrible. Yeah, horrible.
Okay, I think you don't need to type all the questions out because we're going to be tiring for you for the long ones. Yeah, for the super long ones. So we'll just read it out so it's more easier for you also. Does it annoy you when PCs behave very weirdly for no reason, like BS loading, but when it comes to heavy benchmark, behaves like a champ? Of course. Of course. I mean, as a PC builder, I mean, the first time we started doing PCs, you would occasionally see things like this. Yeah. And that's where detective work comes in to really find the cause of the BSOD. And yeah, that's something that we've gotten really good at over the years. But of course, we know initially we faced it, annoyed us like hell. But after that, we have a very good knowledge base of what causes what now. Yeah. So we're able to identify and solve issues quite well. Right? Then if it's hardline PC from Aftershock, does it mean I void my warranty? I think iCrazyZ answered that question below. Basically, if you get a hardline PC, if you hardline the PC that you get from us, we basically don't void your warranty unless you physically go in and break something on the PC. Because we know that people want to adjust their PCs. Yeah. But if you stick a screwdriver through the PC, that one is not covered. Right?
Yeah, understand.
Yeah. Miss, should I answer this one?
Miss,
did you foresee your company getting to where it is today when you've just started it?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Like we started off, I was just like, I would love to be building PCs for people, building laptops for people. That was literally what only thing we were thinking at the time. We think people would like these products. We'll start it off and see how it goes. And nobody starts off doing business being a veteran. You learn over the years.
Fang Love asks, if I upgrade my motherboard and CPU, is it necessary to install Windows?
So it depends.
I think it depends. It depends if you run it. Is it running properly?
No, it's not just that. It's also I think he's talking about the license key.
Oh.
So like for Windows, for the different kinds of licenses. So there's one of the licenses where it's bound to your motherboard's your network cards. I can't remember which one it was. MAC address. Basically, if you change, it will ask you to activate again. So I believe you can call Microsoft actually to sort that out. Especially if you're not buying a new PC.
I think they are more strict now, which sucks.
We haven't tried. I personally haven't tried calling that line recently.
How good is Nvidia GeForce Now? Nvidia GeForce Now is what?
The application lah.
Yeah, application.
Yeah. Haven't tried it myself yet.
I mean, the one big reason why I like Nvidia GPUs, right, is because of their
shadow. Wait, there's also the Nvidia cloud gaming thing. It's GeForce Now, yeah. So
so GeForce Now,
haven't tried it personally.
GeForce Experience is the software. Yeah, the thing is, cloud gaming didn't really come to Singapore.
Yeah, it did. But
like nothing.
It didn't majorly take off.
I remember they wanted to work with me back when I was with Ashley, but didn't really had anything. Like we didn't do anything. Is Aftershock gonna open up somewhere near the west?
We're thinking about it. We're thinking about it.
Do you think Windows Defender on its own is strong enough for antivirus?
I think for antivirus softwares, it's good to have at least like. I mean, I also have one copy of antivirus. I don't think Windows Defender has the best opinions about it. Like I wouldn't pretend that I'm an antivirus expert.
Yeah.
However, I'm a big fan of software like Bitdefender and Malwarebytes. Yeah, I think I think that's a good job.
I don't have. I have Windows Defender. So far, okay. So far, so we talked about the EVGA leaving the GPU market already, so you can go back. So basically, after this live stream, right, we're going to put in timelines in the description, so it's easier to scrub through whatever topic that you want to know what we say lah. Do you think Steam OS and Proton could bring about PC consoles gaming? I don't.
Is it PC as a console? Do you mean PC as a console? If you mean PC as a console, I think that people, it's hard to say. I still think that like people like the console gaming a lot because first of all, because of the exclusives.
Yes.
Exclusives is a big factor in the console gaming, and PC gaming is more of like a in your seat, lean forward experience where you're going hard. And then console gaming is more like a relaxed, lean back in your couch experience. It's a very different experience for two very different crowds. So also it depends on the nature of the games. But I think there will always be people who want to play PC games on a TV in the living room as a console. But yeah, I mean, I think
rare.
I think it will continue to exist. Whether it becomes big, huge like consoles are, I think people will mostly use PCs in a more traditional sense.
Yeah. Is Windows 11 stable enough to use now? Have you seen the new Windows 11 update?
I haven't gone through it yet.
So one thing that I really hated is that the folder, right? They didn't do the preview where you can see the photos or whatever file is in there. Yeah, now you can.
So for us, something we did was we actually moved to Windows 11 like quite a number of months late. We wanted to wait. We wanted to try, wait and see. We chose to wait. Yeah. So I think at this point now, we safely recommend it to people. We don't get much complaints about it at all.
Because the problem is like as a content creator with a lot of pictures, it's nice to just see what's in the file, the preview of the file, and not go into text.
Sure.
But and then they took it out. I'm like, why is this? Why you do this? But then after they upgraded, I'm like, okay, at least it's not as good as Windows 10, but at least they are doing it.
Yeah. I'm sure it will just get better over time. They'll continue to tweak and tune.
Do you want to answer this?
Nah. No personal questions, please.
Devin asks...
You can answer this one though. I think this is a good question.
So, Win, in this day and age, how often do you still encounter manufacturing defects? Which PC component does it happen the most frequently in? I would say CPU cooler. Correct.
Cooler? Not so often.
Water cooling?
Water cooling, open loop depends on the brand of the pump. So like we need to go really hard on getting the best pump blend possible. That's the main point of failure. But if you ask me which components, there are components like, for example, your CPU chip, failure rate almost non-existent. SSD for good brands, failure rate almost non-existent. RAM you occasionally get, but that's why you try to check it before you send it out. Make sure we test it thoroughly. Motherboard you will get some. Like there will be occasional manufacturing defect.
For some reason, I also run into a lot of motherboard problems.
Actually, the one that you get a lot of is chassis. When you buy chassis, you unbox it, you have to visually inspect every single one because they can have little scratch or little dent.
The glass, is it?
It's not just glass, it's just the way it gets handled. So that's something we need to check. Like if you see, we have a lot of chassis that we send back because basically we check all the chassis for surface, and if it doesn't pass, we just send it back to the manufacturer.
But what you say, motherboard, like from all the PCs I've built for friends, I have never had any other problems except motherboards. 2 motherboards.
Motherboard and chassis is the more common one.
I have a question for you. When you all ship your PCs, do you all need at any point of time change the box or put it into another box because people were like stealing it when delivering it?
What do you mean when we're delivering it?
Yeah.
No, we some PCs get double box. Other than that, when we deliver, we make sure someone answers the door.
I see. Okay. Let's see. Any for video editing, Intel or AMD? This one I guess is for.
I'll let you answer. This will be your favorite question.
In terms of CPU, basically both ends. If you just need to get the high end ones. For Intel, it's very important not to get the KF. The F means no integrated graphics. It can actually help you. Because Kwang did tell us, right? One of the Aftershock guys did do a test or research that you can get a 20 to 30% improvement in scrubbing just because you have the integrated graphics. Yeah, so honestly, I've used both. Like my home PC is AMD 5950X, and this one is in office is a 12900KF. Yeah, I have a KF here, but it's fine. Both no problem. Like the important thing is also your GPU. The GPU does help if you use Premiere Pro. But I tried editing on a 12400F. Wow, cannot. It's really cannot. I really cannot do it. But if it's your first time editing, it should be can. And don't forget, because I'm editing on Blackmagic, which their files are huge. And actually, it's very important to put your project files in an SSD.
Oh, why do you think so?
Because if you think about it, when you put a folder, a video file in your software, right, is reading off whatever drive it is.
Oh, I mean, if you're working on a file, and you're having output in another drive, using it on both drives. Yeah. With one to the other, obviously.
Yeah. So
I thought you meant storing for security purposes.
Oh no. So it's very important to put your files in an SSD when your files are big, because if you think about it, right, when you transfer a video over in a hard drive, it's usually like 40 megabytes per second. Meaning, if the video is 100 megabytes per second, right, means every time you record is 100 megabytes, right, your video can never play properly. It will always be lagging because you cannot transfer that file fast enough. And don't forget, like, transfer of file is not usually like that max speed.
True.
Yeah.
How long will my AIO cooler last in my current one?
Lee Song.
How long will AIO cooler last if I bought it from you in 2017?
Yeah.
Basically. How long will AIO cooler last? Because it has moving parts like the.
I hate
it. Depends on how long how often you use it, and it's just wear and tear like any other moving part.
Yeah.
But basically it's very straightforward. If you bought a PC from us and it has an AIO cooler, you just use it. If you run into trouble, you can come look for us. We'll help you.
For me, the two things that will always break down: AIO cooler, video card.
But AIO coolers have gotten a lot better as well, just like the other components. Like the current as like what we find is as the generations go by and the technology continues to be refined, we're seeing the longevity of it get better and better. I mean, in general, I remember when it was new thing, you used to see more issues with it.
Right.
Like much more. Yeah, I want to build my first and very own PC. I like the hands-on feeling, but I also find good deals on Aftershock. Is Aftershock cheaper than building it yourself? It's a good question. And it's funny that you asked me that because you'd expect my answer to be biased. But the gist is, Aftershock buys certain components in gigantic bulk, which means in our ready-to-ship section, you'll find deals that are even cheaper than DIY. However, if it's a hands-on feeling that you want, if you want to build it yourself, you can just DIY. Like DIY is a fun experience. It's what got me into PCs and into this company in the first place. Though one thing we do have is that if you build a PC with us and you want to get a hands-on, we actually have a service where you can arrange a time to come and build your own PC. So Aftershock, it really depends. If you're looking at certain configurations where we don't buy in bulk, we might be more expensive. But in certain configurations where we take in bulk, our prices will be quite hard to beat. Yeah.
The thing is, I always wanted to do a video comparing SimLim versus Aftershock, but the problem is prices can change week by week. So it's not gonna be relevant in a week time. That's why instead of doing a video every week just on one topic, right, I would rather teach y'all how to research.
Yeah. The most important thing is to do the comparisons.
Yeah, to do your own comparisons, because there's really no point me doing the comparison, because once I do, right, and then I edit, by the time I release the video, everything changed already. Yeah. So basically research yourself. Yeah. To see which one is cheaper. One thing you can do is buy Aftershock PC, dismantle, and then reassemble.
No, that's why we built the forge so people could assemble it if they wanted to. Yeah. But okay, how did you start Aftershock? What made you want to become a business owner of your brother? Story time, please. Okay, we went over a bit of that just now.
Yeah.
But I'll just give a very quick summary. Basically, started Aftershock because I was studying overseas. I bought a custom PC, a custom laptop from a brand over there. I was super impressed. I just didn't understand why it wasn't here in Singapore. I went to work for a couple of years just to get some experience. And I always had the goal of doing this. In fact, I presented the idea for the company when I was still a student in university. I presented it during a class where they had to talk about your business idea. And funny enough, the people that were in the class at the time, basically they had people from industry, VCs sitting in the class just to listen and give their take. He actually talked to me after the class and asked me, "Are you actually going to do this?" And I said, "Maybe after a few years of working." But I was inspired by experiencing custom PC services overseas, and I just wondered why we didn't have similar services in Singapore. So working with your brother, it's a it's a challenge at first, but we got used to each other, and it got used to each other's behaviors and habits, and quirks, and it's gotten a lot better. Like we're actually able to work together almost without any arguments these days.
Yeah. I mean, there was this Andrew saying that you should work with family, because
I've seen it.
Forgot why was it?
I've seen it screw up a lot of times.
Yeah.
We're just lucky. Like me and my brother get along well.
I don't want to put it as a race thing, but do you think it's because of our Chinese culture?
It could be culture, but I've seen it not work out for a lot of Chinese families as well. I mean, it just depends, right? Like me and my brother, we grew up together, went to boarding school together.
Yeah.
We're roughly on the same page, in terms of it's very important just to have the same value system as your partners. The value system is very important because you're going to clash if you don't have the same value system. Ironically, that's the main thing.
Okay, I don't know whether you can answer this.
The surrogate.
Wait, let me read. Ka Ching asks, you met the AMD CEO recently. Will you meet Nvidia's Jensen as well in the future?
The chance to meet the AMD CEO was out of the blue.
Yeah.
I mean,
I guess the only reason why you could have met Dr. Su is because of F1.
Yeah.
Right?
It's the fact that she was in Singapore.
Yeah, because the AMD does sponsor a team. I don't know which team.
Mercedes.
Mercedes. So when you do sponsorship, like big sponsorship, right, you can actually get a lounge at the paddock area. And when I say the lounge, so it's different. You got paddock pass, good on you. But if you have a AMD paddock pass, that's a next level because they have their own.
They have a glass box.
Yeah, they have their own box. Yeah. Those are insanely expensive. You cannot buy one. Basically, you need to sponsor somebody, and then that somebody will give you a spot. It's so hard to get. Like you see banks having this kind of areas. Like if you're a lower brand, right? Then you don't get a paddock. You get the opposite one. So you must understand the paddock area is
for the big sponsors.
Sponsors, yeah. But
so
how was the whole experience?
It was inspirational. I mean, what Dr. Su did with AMD, how she turned it around, was just unbelievable. Like who would have imagined?
Exactly.
And she was. I felt that her persona in real life was a lot like it was on camera, and it was just she was very warm, like very easy to talk to. Yeah.
That's great.
Would I meet Jensen in the future if I had the chance to? I'd love to, but I don't get to decide that.
Yeah. Okay, next question.
Yeah, Fujiwara, if you want to build your own PC, yes, we have the Forge for that. Yeah.
Hands-on.
Thanks, iCrazyZay, for answering some of the questions.
Yes, thank you very much. So the KF get or no? Anderson Wong. So the KF get or no? I'm thinking you're talking about the
It's talking about what you said about the KF being a choice.
If you're not into video editing, then
if you're just gaming. If you're just gaming, it's the right choice.
Yeah, cheaper.
If you're just gaming.
But if you're into content creation, then get the K. Julian, can I have your 1060? Sell liao, no more liao. Long time already. Like I haven't had the 1060 for a long time. Tips on tips. Okay, so explicit gaming tips for starting a startup in Singapore.
I think doing a business or startup of any kind, the number one thing you need to have is grit. Yeah, so you basically need to have a mindset of I just need to go at it. There's a lot of people I've met who just want to do a business and they just like the idea of owning a business or doing a business, but they don't actually have the willpower it takes to just go and push it and just grind. It's just about a grind. So that's the one part. And secondly is finding a good mentor, finding people with experience who you can talk to and share your ideas with is also very important.
That finding a good mentor is actually a very important thing because because if you find a mentor that's not that good, that gives you the wrong advice, it can mess up your whole operation.
Yeah, no, exactly. You need someone who can help keep you grounded. As in, it's nice to have really beautiful big ideas, but the amount of ideas I've heard where it's just also out of this world, or it doesn't seem to make sense. I've heard a lot.
Right.
But like just having ideas that and an execution plan to go with it.
Yeah.
And a mentor that can help you keep grounded. So it's so important.
So it's very interesting that you say that people just like the idea of owning a business. Yeah. It's very similar to being a YouTuber.
It's just like people like to have the idea of I can call myself an entrepreneur, right?
Yes.
But the thing is that entrepreneur, the life is a very different life. There's a lot of personal sacrifice involved, and you just got to be prepared.
Yeah.
But the reality of it is, I've hardly seen anybody who had die-hard determination fail.
Right.
Like somebody is just willing to give it all. It's very hard to fail. But I've seen people that want to do a business and then they want to have their life balance and then they want to do all their other hobbies as well. It's freaking impossible. Like it's damn hard to see that succeed. Okay, if you're if you're genius, maybe. If you're like a super ultimate talent, maybe. Yeah. But it's very rare to see that work out.
So I have a very interesting story. Yaya, right? One of my best friends.
What?
Yaya. Yeah, he was a school teacher.
I remember I may have met him. You mentioned him a couple of times, yeah.
So he was a school teacher and he used to take care of the CCA for video and camera. So he was teaching the kids how to make a video.
Yep.
So after the whole process, the kids go, I don't want to be a YouTuber anymore. He said, why? Too much work. I just want the fame.
Because they only see because people only see the glamour of it.
Yeah.
But they don't see the hate messages behind. They don't see
the work.
I know quite a lot of content creators, so I've seen the kind of messages they receive, and there's a lot of work that goes into it. You always and once you become known, everywhere you go, you need to keep up a certain image. You can't just be yourself all the time.
Yeah, and that's why I think a lot of people rather just be influencers because
your job is just to live well.
Take picture.
No, I mean there are influencers that deliver great value as well. Yeah. But obviously, like in any industry, there'll be good and bad.
Yeah, I mean, usually most of the influencers I know are all good, but there are some that do the bare minimum. But it's okay, it's fine. You do your thing, respect.
Questions. Sorry, there's a lot of questions, guys. So we try to get to those.
Yeah, we will end. Okay, let's put the timing. We'll end at 9:45.
Okay,
9:45. We got like
let's try to grab more of these questions from you guys. If consumers buy desktops from Aftershock, do we get component boxes together? We usually try to put most of the component boxes together at the delivery box, so you get the GPU box or this, depending on what it is. Because for some components, we try to work with the brands to be more environmentally friendly, so we buy them in bulk pack. So that means that there's less less waste.
I think they don't really care more about the boxes. It's more of like their cables.
Yeah, no, we do provide, but sometimes we will also keep some. The reason is because there's a large portion of the customer base that basically doesn't do those upgrades themselves. And if they lose it or what in the future, if they want to do upgrades, we need them.
Right.
What we do is we let people ask if they want them.
Right.
If not, anytime they want to do an upgrade, they can come and get it through us. Because we do offer an upgrade program for systems.
Because like let's say the Be Quiet coolers comes with the screwdriver.
Yep, we'll give it. Of course, there's something like that. We'll definitely send it. It's just like the extra SATA cable or what.
Yes.
Like some users may want us to hold on to it. If they want to upgrade, we'll do it for them, and we don't charge for these things. Yeah. Activated, unactivated Windows. Why so expensive? Well, some places $10. Well, all I can say is that if a Windows key is typically around the $130-ish dollar mark. Windows key is below that price point. I would just be wondering where they're from.
Yeah, I have a theory. Firstly, there's actually two ways to get genuine. One is you just go SimLim, they have the CD and the code. That's the cheapest genuine one. You have the online one. I don't understand why online is so expensive, like $300.
Yep.
And then you have the $20, $10 one on Carousel.
I think it's because the online one can be activated on multiple.
I don't think so. I think
last time it was. I haven't tried because we have been working with the one-time activation key.
I think it's like those keys, right, that they give to corporate.
Yep.
And then they have extra keys.
Actually, iCrazyZ has a good point as well. A really good point actually, because in the Windows key, there's actually different licenses in different countries. This one I'm aware of.
Right.
Yeah, they have licenses for emerging markets. But Singapore is considered a developed market.
Yeah. Understand.
Yeah, that's a good point from him actually. That reminds me.
When I buy like second-hand parts and then they say, "Oh, Windows activated," there we go, cheap.
Let's see next one. As one of our vans broken down in the middle of the night, I couldn't answer that question for you. Like even if it broke down, it'll likely be handled by the operations team.
I'm gonna ask a very funny question.
But I will ask them that now that you have asked this.
Yeah. It's a good, interesting, right?
Interested to know,
Interesting,
Ever consider bringing Intel Arc GPU if it was priced in a way that we thought made like they gave it a very strong position? Yeah, we would definitely consider.
Why would anyone take a GPU that's not good, right?
It depends on the pricing. Like I said, the performance sits between 3060 Ti. But if they pair it at like 3060 Ti pricing or 3060 pricing, it's gonna be hard, right? Because you're a new player, you want to get market share. I think the right strategy, I actually told them that as well. I think the right strategy is to price it very competitively. To let people try the product.
I have a question. Why is the PC market, right? I think it's actually a stupid question now that it came out. But basically, like, have you ever had this period of time where you don't buy the stocks and then sell what y'all get the orders first, then y'all get stocks?
Very rare. We normally try to make sure we lock the stocks in because you don't want a situation where like people take orders and you can't fulfill.
Yeah.
That would be a nightmare situation. You just don't want to deal with it.
It's a lot.
General tips. Yeah. There's a lot of business questions. Like any general tips how to ultimately start a business in any industries. It's always about finding a niche. So you look for an industry where there's room for disruption, where basically the players are not doing a great job, where it's very stagnated. Yeah, so that's what we do.
Yeah, for me, I did tech because there was I believe
there wasn't a prominent tech YouTuber in Singapore.
A lot of people were asking me that question. I'm like, yeah, sure, because I always think to myself, right, I'm actually a YouTuber first, and then tech later. But I've done tech from like secondary school, but it's more of like I always wanted to do YouTube. And I haven't really found my niche. And I'm like, why am I trying to do comedy where there's a lot of comedy everywhere? Why don't I do something that I'm good at?
Something that you're passionate about.
And that's the thing, I think, for business owners or any YouTubers, right? Is that you cannot be tunnel vision and just keep saying, oh, you want to do your way. You have to have input from other people. That's why finding a good mentor.
It's very important. As in your idea may be totally out of this world. Yeah. And the mentor will help you give you some perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see,
I think that's the Yaya. No, he joined
already to ship PCs, are they really upgradable in the future? Yeah, just like any other PC, they're modular. So as long as the components you want to upgrade to are compatible, you can do it.
Yet Cool asks, what store is good to find PC parts at SimLim?
You can give a recommendation.
I honestly, so far, TradePack has been good for me. I built a good relationship with them. The rest, VPC, if you want to get MSI parts, VPC, nice people. I think it's a Taiwanese guy also.
I haven't met them personally.
Yeah, they're nice people. I haven't really shot at Dynacore before. I met the guy.
I met the owner.
I haven't.
He seems like a very chill guy.
Yeah.
Nice guy.
But I don't know, like that's all I can say.
I mean, a lot of people have started purchasing components online as well.
How do you hire trustworthy and motivated
This is a good topic.
Eric, because the thing is, this Friday, I'm gonna hold interviews for the people.
Oh, really?
So I also want to know, like, what's your take on this?
My take has changed a lot over the years. Like initially, I used to prioritize capability. Like I used to do interview, and what I would do during interview is I would just have a conversation with them on some fairly complex topics. And what I'll do is I want to see how they think. And what are their views, and also how they react to like sort of a curveball question. But what I realized over the years is capability is an important attribute, especially in some roles, but it's not the most important attribute. Like we like to see like the value system, like how they view work and what are their aspirations. And it's all about talking to a person, having an experienced interviewer, HR team that has interviewed a lot of people, basically get a good gauge. And essentially you want to find a good balance. You can't be 100% capability and 0% motivation.
And I realized there's this problem with a lot of business owners where you hire someone and you expect them to do what you can do. And it's never possible because firstly you have a bigger sense of ownership. And like the reason why you start this business is because you have a lot of passion, you got a lot of you're very capable. But to hire someone that basically there's this rule 70-70. You hire two people to do 70% of the job. As in 70%.
I think that applies in quite generally, but you will also meet people along the way, like some hires along the way, they will absolutely blow you out, blow you away. Like where people come join the company and they're now core pillars of the company. And they just, they love our company, they love what we stand for, and they put their all into it. And when you meet people like that, it's like you just, quite blown away. Like
that was me in NOC. That was me. Then at one period of time, right, I realized what I did lah. Like halfway through, right, I quit for a while.
Because you felt like, is it because you felt like you didn't get recognition for?
I think so. I think Titan had a podcast with one of the expert in HR or something like that, or management. And she had a lot of good points that I go, oh my god, I was doing that. Like it's about security in a lot of things lah. Like I don't know how to say lah.
To be fair, it's also the company's job to try to recognize people who are contributing. But like I said, one thing we learned so quickly is the capability is not the only metric. You can have a very capable person who might exhibit toxic behavior, or who might require a lot of babysitting in terms of just keeping them in the right motivated. So it doesn't make up everything at all. Like I would much rather work with someone who's reasonably capable, but is very motivated, and who also was reasonable in terms of looking at the situation together and trying to give them the right outcome.
I think it's a very commando thing also, because the commando have this saying, your physical can train. So if you cannot run, cannot jump, then I can train, but your mental cannot.
Strong mental, very important. No matter what you're doing, whether you're doing business or you're playing games or whatever, strong mental is key. No matter how you look at it, no matter how you mince it, someone with a strong positive mental is always going to end up better.
But here's the thing, even though a lot of people say you can't train your mental state, can one. If you have the determination, you can change how you think. Because
mindset can be shifted.
You can change your mindset. Like basically, the one thing I wanted to do a TikTok on, right, ranting, and I don't know whether I still want to do, is that what I don't like about this Singapore culture of complaining is that Singaporeans complain, or we complain, and we don't do shit about it. Like they just, all they do is just complain and then gossip.
I think that, like, having been around, travel around the world, and mixed with been in quite a different places, I feel like Singapore has been, in general, the atmosphere has moved a little bit. People are generally a bit excited. Maybe it's because of the economy and the way life is quite challenging here, frankly speaking, to be fair. Like, there's a very negative overtone,
right?
Like in general, not for everyone, but you can sense it, right? Like people are like here and there. You always see Facebook comments and disgruntled. I think just keeping a positive mindset just means that things will be better for you in general, as well as also you'll be more pleasant to people around you. Like just like imagine like friends and stuff. If somebody's like always negative, always like sian about everything, it's just.
No, I think the thing is like if you're unhappy with something, right? I do something about it.
No, work on it.
Obviously, do something about it. But a lot of people don't. That's the thing I don't like.
People like to focus on the things they can't control.
Yeah.
When the best approach in life is just to continuously focus on the things that you can control.
Yeah, exactly. Because like I have dyslexia, right? And want me to concentrate on my dyslexia, like improve my English. And I'm like, I don't want. There's no point. I want to concentrate on the things that I'm good at. Instead of concentrating on the things that I'm bad at. Why do I want to put myself like I will still improve gradually.
Yeah.
But if you want me to improve
drastically,
then I have to put my whole life into it, and then it's wasted.
There's also the question of you got 24 hours in the day.
Yeah.
Or not 24 hours, you sleep some of it.
Yeah.
Where do you want to put your time most effectively?
Yeah. So like work on your strengths instead of your weaknesses.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. What are your views on brand making their PC parts proprietary and not modular? I happen to be one person of the stance that I think modularity is always better. So there isn't so much of a view. It's just my I stand on the modular side of the fence. I think that making the parts as upgradable as possible, as backwards or forwards compatible as possible, is always the better way.
Okay, one last question. Oh, this is interesting.
You mean the one that SolarWinds did?
Yeah.
Just a tiny suggestion. I was picking parts on Aftershock site. Some parts gave warning. Bottleneck, choose more RAM, better cooling. Maybe highlight recommended alternative parts to switch to. Well, working on that. That's a great suggestion, but we had to think long and hard about how we can do it. The challenge now is that a lot of people view the website on mobile. Some view it on PC. So we need to make sure that the interface can handle both. Before you go, any specials from founder for the 100 views who stayed on till the end? Irresistible discount. Oh, I should have prepared something.
Nothing for today. I'm sorry, but here's the thing. If this
next podcast, if we do,
because this is something that I was like thinking, why not try? If this is actually very successful, we'll see how the numbers are, and also if I'm free, you're free lah.
Correct lah.
Because I think you do enjoy.
I do enjoy talking about tech.
Yeah.
Like for me, like you notice, like for Aftershock in general, I usually try to stay away from the camera.
Yeah.
Unless it's talking about tech. Yeah, I love doing that.
Yeah. So we'll see how's the response, especially after this video becomes a VOD, a video, and then we see how it is. So do comment below any suggestions, anything you like to see or want us to change or anything, or even tell us what works and what not. Okay, but thank you so much for joining us.
I want to answer this last question.
Okay, go.
What course did you do? Was it related to your business now? I did information systems at SMU. So the course taught a lot of like general knowledge about all aspects of the IT industry, like from development to project management. It was very useful, right? Because I had to do project management. I had to develop my own website, and I found the things that I learned pretty useful in general.
I was in ShareTech doing cooking. No relatability.
Okay, like when you're hungry.
Yeah, the good thing about being in ShareTech is that life skills.
You can still
life skills. Yeah. Here's the thing.
Come on, I know many other things where cooking was useful.
Yes,
you told me before.
Getting girls, very useful. Hey, it's a thing. I can tell you that there are 3 things that got me girls. Gaming, surprisingly, because I had the best gear. And then I'm like, oh, you want to play? You can come to my place and play.
Really?
Yeah. One time only. Guitar. One of my exes, I taught her guitar. Then
I've heard the guitar one before.
Yeah. And cooking. Cooking is like, wow, it works like magic. The girls love it. Like, it is a very, very, very dangerous tool to have for a young man. I can tell you that. But a good life skill, really a good life skill. Because if you think about it, take away all the industries.
I mean, it's definitely a great life skill.
What are the 3 necessities that human need? You got shelter,
Food.
clothing, food. Food will always be in demand. There's no such thing as food never be in. First one to go is actually media. Media will go out. All your commodity go off first. Look at freaking COVID. When COVID hit, all the media, people don't care already. People don't care about media, and then media will be the last one to come back.
Not, I mean, it's not a live or die lah.
Yeah. Okay. That is bad. That is bad. That is all.
Right, shall we wrap up?
Yeah, let's wrap up.
Hey, thanks everybody for the kind words.
Yeah, thank you for joining this live stream. This is gonna be a video after this is done, and I don't know how to end this. How do we end this? Any last things you want to say?
Not much. I mean, this was interesting experience for me. Hopefully in future, if there's mini sessions, you guys can ask us other questions or anything you want to know. I mean, I think it'd be great to have a podcast just to talk about the tech industry, because the biggest thing about the tech industry in Singapore is that there's a lot of reviews online and everything, and essentially those reviews are very in context of the big markets.
Yeah.
Whereas Singapore's market is very different, right?
Yeah.
So the context is very different. So what might be a great recommendation somewhere else may not be in our local market.
Yeah. So exactly. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Marcus Wee, founder of Aftershock, JulianTechTM, and I'll see you next week. Next week, what video we doing? Well, I don't know. Probably either a PC build or price comparison. So stay tuned for that. I'll see you in the next video. See you. Bye bye.